Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. What's going on after a 2-week hiatus? The Late Late Show, hosted by Tottenham on Tour for We Are Tottenham TV, is back.
We're back, baby.
And running
We're
in
back.
a lovely, relaxed, new part of the studio setting. I'm here, obviously, myself, Daigle, with my partner in crime, Mr. Brian Ireland. How are you, sir?
Oh, man, I'm good, mate. When it comes to football, I'm a bit miserable, which we'll get into. No Spurs, first of all. And then, of course, the international break in England's performance today, which, we're going to talk about first. But, yeah, I'm good, though. My girlfriend had her 40th birthday over the weekend and last weekend, and it's been a party all week. I'm in a good place.
So happy birthday, Nina.
Cheers, Nina.
It's all good. Yeah, like you said, without Tottenham, it's just so dull,
isn't it?
It's so dull. And then obviously trying to find talking points and things to discuss, and it's just, especially with the next game being the filth, that having an international break before this just delays it.
I don't know has that ever happened before?
I'm sure in time it probably has.
Yeah,
but obviously you can't remember that now. But now it's just like, can we just have if the game, which we'll talk about later, goes ahead due to rail strikes. But before we get into everything, should we quickly say hello to
let's do that. Let's say some peeps in the comments here. I'm going to go from the top. Let me just get my mic in front of me here so you guys can hear what's going on. Our man, Bobby K, of course. What's up, Bobby?
Bobby, thank you. And you know why. Thank you very much, my brother.
Thank you for being who you are, brother. We appreciate you. Amazing. Ignosity, I think that's how you say it. What's going on? I'm not going to put you up there. Pierogi's in the house. What's up, Pierogi?
Big up.
Crap, Mike's going to spin around over there. I'll pick it up in a different way. We've got the Assassinator. It's back. Yes, it is back, and we're happy to be here, guys. We really are. Life happens and stuff, and things are the way.
And the royal dying.
Yeah, Queen.
That kind of gets in the way.
Some mad stuff going on in the world. And of course, here we are in this lovely new setting. I hope you guys are enjoying it because we're pretty happy with it. Adrian Sork is with us. Adrian, good to see you, mate. Glad you're here. Definitely need to get him on the channel at some point again because we the last time it didn't work out. Wolfsfee is here. What's up, Wolfsfee? How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Nuka Maj, am I saying that right?
I'm so happy you're doing this because
John, what's up, John? Good to see you. Nuka Maj, Moldy Pickle.
What a name! What a name!
Big up the Spurs. Is Perisic injured?
We're going to discuss that.
We're going to talk about it. Is he injured? I'm not quite sure.
Your mic okay?
No, it's fine. I'm just trying to sort out the base. It's fine. We got Jamie Green in the house. Jamie, what's going on, Jamie? Midnight snack. That's what we're all about here. We are your midnight snack.
There you go.
That's actually, we're going to use that in the future. Cheers for that, Jamie. Appreciate it. Oh, it's
birthday boy from yesterday. KPV.
What's up,
brother?
Big
up, brother.
How are you, mate? And happy birthday again. Good to see you here. Of course, always in the house, KPV. Just getting through it. We see some of the same people here on the list. Oh, we got Phil P with us as well. What's up, Phil? What's up, Phil? How you doing? Oh, we got United Spurs of America with us as well. Big up, Jacob. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. Del Sport 14. Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Let's have it, man. It's Friday night.
Exactly.
It's not Friday night with the two Brians, but it's kind of close.
Or Saturday morning.
It's not too far. Yeah, exactly. I think I said hello to Phil, but what's up, Phil? Say hello again. We got Chris Hello, I think if I'm saying that. We missed, brother. We missed Tottenham as well. It is a difficult one. These stupid international breaks. I don't even like. International football for me. I like it and I hate it at the same time. It's a difficult one. We've got Adam Campbell in the house. What's up, Adam? How are you? Good to see you. See if there's anybody else here that we missed. Lazy 8.
Big up, Nick.
Okay, so you know who that is. Good for you. Calavas. Good evening. Good to see you. Our Lynch is with us. Or Richarlison double. We're going to get into that. I mean,
double. I think it was a hat trick.
I think it turned into. I'd have to check it. I thought you said it was a hat trick, so I assumed he scored again in the second half.
Yeah, I got said something.
But it was certainly 2 in the first half.
Definitely 2
in the first half.
Let's have a look.
We got our partner in crime here, Ryan Isaacs.
Excuse me,
folks, is with us. What's up, Ryan? Good to see you, buddy. Stay in the comments and have chats with people. We appreciate you being with us. If you can stay awake.
Yeah, it was 2.
It was 2. I think it was 2. Yeah, it wasn't a hat trick, but it was 2 glorious goals.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about him as well. We've got. Sorry, so I was going to go up. Merovingian 1882. I don't know what that means, but Son scored a better a belter of a free kick. Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Big time talking about that.
Fantastic. It's one of our talking points. What a goal. And come on. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Billabong Blades is with us as well. What's up? How you doing? And I think I've covered everybody. If I didn't say Chris, I did. We did say Chris, but yeah, it's difficult time, these international breaks. We're looking forward to the North London Derby, which we're going to get into as well, Brian. But
so first of all, just to let everyone know, whoever's a member and wants to come on the bit when we start bringing people on, the link will be in the community section from 8:30 p.m. So if you want to come on the community section, 8:30, the link will be there. And then obviously we'll start bringing people on when we've wrapped everything up. So yeah, we're going to start with, let's get the show on the road. So the first thing we're going to talk about is obviously England and the international roundup. And I think we have to start first of all with the big Gareth Southgate sized and shaped elephant.
The massive elephant in the room. Brian. I mean, I didn't watch it. I did watch a watch along and sort of got a sense of how drab it was. But again, England didn't score. We're 450 plus minutes in, 0 goals scored from open play. For an England team that has the likes of Harry Kane, Sterling, Foden, players who for their clubs can score relatively freely, are not even remote. They're not even getting chances. Like I don't think from a scoring, I'd have to look at the statistics, but I'm pretty sure that they maybe had 1 or 2 shots on goal the entire game. I mean, this is an England team that is in its pomp, or should be, based on the players that are in this team. You know, we talk about teams that have like the golden years or the golden age of a team, whether it's club football or international football. But for England, the players in this team to not score goals for 450 plus minutes. What are your thoughts on it?
You know what? It's never in my lifetime, actually never in anyone's lifetime, has an England manager got to a semi-final and then a final back-to-back, or done so well in 2. And it looked like, okay, we finally got the manager. It all kind of slotted together with, he trained with the youngsters when he was under 21 to whatever
there was
level.
A good cohesion with all the stuff.
And it looked like finally, like Spain did with their golden generation, that maybe there had been some kind of formula that we'd stumbled across, and it was finally showing fruition. But the fall from grace from European finalists to being relegated from the Nations League. Well, let's face it, I don't think any of us really care about the Nations League itself, but to say relegated,
to be relegated to be relegated with 0 wins,
we don't know the formation. Man. He has players like Ivan Toney that he brings up, but doesn't even put on the bench, and puts 2 keepers on there. It's very, very worrying, and obviously there are a lot of people, and I do mean a lot of people, calling for his head.
I'm one of them, and I just think, obviously we talked about this before we did the show, how difficult it is to make this type of change when the World Cup is 8 weeks away or whatever it is. It's coming up, and but you have to have momentum in these tournaments. You have to have a team that's got cohesion, that has togetherness, that it has some intensity, that are scoring goals. They're kind of having fun. This team looked just completely devoid of ideas. They just don't look like they are interested and have anything to give to England. So it's a hard watch, man. And I'm glad, I recognize that this is probably a faux pas for England fans, for people who follow their country. We're in Canada. Canada has made the World Cup for the first time in 35 years, I think it is, since 1986. So at least I've got Canada. We got Canada, right?
Exactly.
Fellow new Canadian over here.
Do you know what? We were watching a few shows just before about people reviewing the England game and just seeing what the general vibe was. Mm-hmm. And you look at Darren Ambrose said something on TalkSport, which is like, normally we smash the qualifications and go into the World Cup expecting miracles or the greatest thing.
We've won every game
and then
easily.
We flop. Yeah. And now we're going into a competition bereft of confidence, who knows? It could be. I mean, it's a wild thing, but who knows? We've sailed through qualifications and smashed it with so many times and failed to deliver. Yeah. But then there was, I can't remember who said it when we were talking about it. He picks Ben Chilwell and Luke Shaw into the team, but doesn't play them, and the reason he doesn't play them is saying
because they're not
getting minutes.
We're not even playing. Like, why are they in the squad?
Exactly. So surely you should be using these games to play players that are playing well in that position, to test them to see if they are. And we change formation, we change style of play. There is just nothing. And we're talking about, let's move on to more about should he be sacked now.
Yeah, I think that's an important question. And of course, it's a difficult one, but go on.
Yeah, it's literally, if this World Cup had been any other World Cup and in the summer, I think he's gone. I think he is gone.
Yeah.
The fact is, even if he was to go now, they're not going to hire a New England manager before Germany, which means the World Cup manager or the manager we would take to the World Cup would have had no time with them. The first time he'll get to see them is the training for the World Cup. And how do you get to explain your philosophy?
I think there's only one manager, and of course, it's the manager that we all know and love, in Pochettino, that knows English football and arguably knows some of the players as well, whether he's played against them or whether he's coached them himself, that could potentially come in and still affect the team. But I agree with you. I'm not saying that that's going to happen or that I want that. I mean, I think in the long run, he'd be a great manager for England, but I think it would be nice to see it with a summer or 6 months or whatever to get to know the squad and to teach them his ways. But it's near impossibility, right? Like, is there a way that happens? Does he step down and they've already sort of been planning this? I mean, I don't know.
So the only other thing you talk about with Poch, and you've heard a lot of people on, of course, YouTube and on the internet and on pundit shows where they're saying, I'd love Poch, but Kuva brought up a great thing saying, do you know what, with Poch, the one thing he needs and does is he needs time with his players. He gets his training, and we know firsthand what his training is like. Is giving him the England job, or if he got the England job, is only seeing these players. It's also
is he an international manager? So I don't know, but because of the club sort of sensibility, which is what you're talking about, that amount of time with the players that he has, he's able to sort of mold them into the thing he wants them to be. As an international manager, you don't get that. You sort of have to take, okay, this player's under Conte, this player is under whoever. Like, you sort of have to mold them and try to figure out, am I going to be able to affect how they play or how this team plays the way I typically like to, based on me being normally a club manager. That's a difficult transition in a short period of time for a manager who we all obviously love. But I think we're stuck with Southgate in this scenario, unfortunately. And I think that England are going to be shit. And I think they're going to maybe they get through the group, but it's going to be ugly. And I don't think they last much longer than that.
Well, you look at it as well. I think the one chance they may have looked at this is if Potter was still at Brighton. They may have said, you know what, let's. But now obviously he's gone to Chelsea.
He's not going to give up that type of job now in this case. So.
I think if it had come to a point where Chelsea and England were after him, he may have gone with his heart and gone, this is the England job. This don't come
I'm going
about.
to take it. It makes the most sense in that moment.
But you look at it. If it was not to be Pochettino, you look at it right now, and to Southgate's benefit, I would say the word is, you look at the coaches that are available right now, and there's not a great host of them to say, okay, if it's an English manager, you're looking at, like I said, Potter, Eddie Howe, which it just won't be.
Yeah.
Will they go down the Gerrard and Lampard are ex-England players?
We spoke about that. Yeah. I mean, again,
I think they both walk out of their clubs immediately.
I think they do, but are they going to do any better?
Exactly. No, that's the thing. If you look at their managerial career, yes, Rangers, he won a title. We stopped Celtic.
I think Gerrard would be the better of the two for me, for sure. But even still, I don't. Well, that's such a mess.
I mean, I don't know what people are saying in the comments. What have we got? Let's have a look. See what some people are saying
all right.
in regards to Southgate. Let's just pick a few and.
Let me just. We got from Wolves. Many calls, even with those World Cup and Euros, some kind of bottle job. Get to 2018 World Cup history table: 2 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses against 4 mil, 5 mil, 10 mil, 11 mil, 20 mil, 30 mil countries. It's not a big achievement. Yeah, it's fair. I mean, it isn't, and it's a good point. We'll see. I can't argue with that. It's a hard sell right now. I mean, I love what Southgate did when he brought the country together and if people who support England in a moment where they hadn't for a long time. He did something really special, but that's going to be forgotten,
of course,
after this World Cup when England are just knocked out and they're crap. It's an unfortunate scenario because I think what Southgate did was important. But I think the FA and I think England, the people in charge of England, probably missed an opportunity to recognize that he peaked and we need to move on and find somebody that's going to take us to that next level. He didn't win anything. We do that with every manager. Oh, like Pochettino, as an example, got us to the Champions League final. He peaked. He got as far as he could get us, and we needed to bring in fresh blood, and that's kind of where we are with Southgate for England. From Bill, watching Tottenham, to some extent, yes, it's miserable in a lot of cases, but yeah. Shaquille says Southgate has got to go. No, I agree. I think Southgate's got to go. It's just whether or not you try to do it before the World Cup.
Exactly,
and it's such a difficult decision to make. I actually think with how bad we've been, that's a good decision to make it. Even though, like, it could only what's the worst that could happen? They get knocked out early.
Do you know what? Rather than going through these comments, simple yes or no.
All right.
Not in the comments. Not. Would you second yes or no? Do you? I want to go more to the point. Do you think we could get a manager in and be more successful in the World Cup, where this manager will have no time with them at all? Does the new manager bounce get you through a World Cup? Exactly, as opposed to just answer yes or no. Do we run does that new manager bounce work in a World Cup when a manager will have no time?
Very little time with the squad,
apart from when he has them when the season breaks.
Yeah, give us a yes or no in the comments.
Or Southgate stays because of the consistency.
Yeah, and just the inability to bring somebody in and to do that transition in the span of 8 weeks.
Let's see what we get with the yes.
Yeah, get in the comments. Give us a yes or no. Keep it simple. No details. Just give us a yes or no.
Let's see
KPV with the Pochettino would be great for England. Kyle, I agree. I think he would be great for England. I just don't know in this case without time with the players because, as you said, Brian, he does rely on that quite a bit with having the training and understanding the methods and what he wants them to do. I also said earlier as well, I think his understanding of the English game and being at Spurs for as long as he was and the players that are all on this team he's played against. So I do think he has an advantage in that scenario that if you're going to get a guy in for short term, like and quickly is the scenario he would be the one to do it.
The other thing you've got to look at it as well with Poch, and this is where I swing to he could do something, is his football is based on attacking. And if you look at the England team right now, there's been years where it's been built on a very solid defence and other players. But right now, you look at the people that he's got at his disposal in the attacking place.
It's ridiculous.
That's the one side where I see, if it was to be Poch right here, right now, his formation and his style of play, the players that we potentially could play up front and creative midfield, they could have a field day. And
you can also arguably suggest, because of his relationship with Harry Kane, that he doesn't have to coach Harry Kane. Harry Kane knows what he wants, the expectation
is.
And
possibly Dyer.
And Dyer as well. And I was going to say that, yeah. So the players that are there could help. We got a bunch of yeses. Yes.
So go manager bounce.
Yeah. There's a no there, but mostly yeses so far. Get your yeses and nos in, guys. Give us your response.
So yeah, do you know what? And we were speaking about this earlier. If I was Gareth Southgate, the one thing that would be dreading me with fear, and I would wish if there was one game that wasn't coming up right now, would be England versus Germany at Wembley.
Yeah.
This game. I mean, could you? I think even England-Scotland he would have preferred.
Yeah.
England, Germany, the very last game before the World Cup.
Yeah.
At Wembley, and if we don't get off to a fast start or Germany concede an early goal, that place could swallow him whole.
I agree. Absolutely. I think it's going to be very, very difficult in that game for him. He has to make difficult decisions. This is the thing about for Southgate that I'm struggling with him. He's not capable of making difficult decisions. He's held on to the Harry Maguires and the Luke Shaws that did something good for him when he first did well.
Yep.
He doesn't have this the gusto to say, you're not performing anymore. I love you. We're friends, but fuck off, which is kind of what you have to do.
Of course.
In those scenarios, not even kind of, it's what you have to do as the manager to ensure performance levels are at the highest from every player. As soon as they get comfortable, he's managing them like they're a club and not in a good way. It's like Solskjaer in a sense. Like he's kind of managing them like Solskjaer at United, where he has favorites and he kind of picks and chooses.
Well, club football, Southgate himself wasn't. the best at. And you talk about the big decisions. You look at the Leicester game, just touching on it. Emerson changed for Perisic. The Son. That's what managers do when it's like, right, I've got to make a change for the benefit of the team, whether we as fans agree with it or not.
Yeah, make hard decisions.
It's I'm the boss. This is what I do.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's an overwhelming yes then for that.
Overwhelming yes, and I think it's the right thing. I want to see it. I honestly think like if England are going to do anything, they have to make a massive change, and that shakeup should be enough to get the players, because they're good enough to perform better than they are currently. If they stay in the same space that they're in right now, the World Cup is going to be over very quickly.
Okay, before we start talking about the others with Spurs players, one more yes or no.
Oh yeah, no, we also got a couple other roundups to do too.
So before we do that, I've got one more yes or no. So you may want to
see if
there.
we can get them. All right.
And I've forgotten what the yes or no is. Oh yeah, no, I've remembered it. I've remembered it. So if England lose to Germany, do you think the FA, not do you think the FA have the balls to pull the trigger? Just yes or no.
In the comments, yes or no.
Yeah. If we lose to Germany, what about you?
I'd say no. I don't think they do. Yeah, I think they're gonna be chicken shit. Just like I think Southgate's been chicken shit in this build up to this tournament. I think it's ingrained. We got a couple of no's already. Yep. I think it's ingrained in the England setup at the moment. There's fear of pulling the trigger when you need to, of being ruthless with people, because you recognize if we want to win something, it's been how many frickin' years? The only way to do that is to be ruthless. You have to make difficult decisions, and those difficult decisions initially may seem, what are you doing, dude? But they also might not work out, but you need somebody who's willing to do it. And I don't think there's anybody in the England setup at the moment that is.
The only thing that I'll relate this to, that if England do lose, is people will remember, I'm showing my age again now, when Graham Taylor was bad and they started calling him a turnip, and what the national press absolutely went to town on him. Yeah. And the England manager's job, there's always been that relationship where when it's good, it's good. Yeah. When it's bad, it's 50 shades of
one, man.
You can't believe it.
The England press, the England fans, it's a poison chalice.
And you got to remember, Graham Taylor, there was no social media.
Yeah.
There was no social media.
I mean, the social media in England was the rag papers. That was kind of the same,
exactly.
Right?
That's a good point.
So kind of a similar scenario. They're just eat their own, right? It's so terrible. Well, thanks for your comments, folks. And
was it a majority saying no for this one?
Yeah, mostly no's, and then most people just saying, Southgate. This is a good one. Southgate has no tactical sense. I agree completely. His setup today, starting lineup, I'm like, what are you doing, dude? With the players you have, that's just dumb as shit.
Yeah, I mean,
dumb as shit.
The easiest thing to say, I can't remember what Football Manager said. It was play 11 players in their best positions. So when you've got two left backs, Shaw and Chilwell, that haven't had minutes, but you put Saka, who is on the right side.
In that position.
No, apparently they were saying he has occasionally for Arsenal,
but
it's not his primary position.
He doesn't play there for Arsenal because he's not good enough to. He's better as a right winger.
Exactly.
What are you doing?
The thing. Yeah. It's like
square pegs into round holes when you have a round peg.
Exactly.
Right? You have a round peg. Why are you putting a square peg in it? It doesn't make any sense.
And I mean, I'm trying to wrap my brains down. I've gone blank. Just trying to think if there's any left wing backs or left backs that are English around on the scene that could have played there. If he didn't want to play Shaw.
I think Kieran Trippier could have easily just.
Oh, there you go.
He's traditionally not a left back, but he's played there for England, and he's got a wand of a right foot if you got a free kick. I mean, again, just decisions being made by a manager. I think he's realizing he's lost the plot, and you're seeing him make decisions, very poor decisions, because of it, and that is affecting the way the players have lost confidence in the decisions he's making, and they're not performing. So you're getting the worst of it. The worst of everything at the same time, essentially, right? So
exactly. Now, before we go and talk about the other games, we're just going to touch on Brazil briefly, and obviously Croatia, Denmark. But what I do want to say, guys, in the comments, every show we have done on this show, and thanks to your help, every single time we've hit a minimum of 100 likes. We want to keep that 100% record going. So please, please, please smash that like button. So we can hit that 100 again. But yeah, now international. Where do you want to start? Brazil.
Richarlison, two goals, two brilliant goals. Richarlison, laughing at Jesus, who didn't make the squad. both very good goals too. The first goal was a cracking pass into him.
First time shot,
right foot into the side, into the corner. Beautiful goal. And Richarlison just looking like he's brewing with confidence. Yep. And it's a player coming from a really good scenario at Spurs where he's been given the confidence, the situation, the scenario where he gets to thrive. And we're seeing that in an international sense as well. Oh man, again, loving him more and more. Brilliant goals. And to do that for a Brazilian team that is going to be very good in the World Cup. And that he's the man at Brazil. I mean, for us to have him as a fourth forward is incredible. We're in a scenario where we've got a very good player who's playing at a high level, and the goals were absolutely fantastic. Second goal was a header, glancing header, just really, really nice, really good stuff from Richarlison.
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything you're saying. What we're seeing with Richarlison is obviously he's in a very good place right now. He's happy with his life in London. He's playing for a winning team. He's playing Champions League football.
Yeah.
He's got cult hero status already. He knows the fans absolutely adore him. Yeah. And he's gone off and he's carried it on for Brazil. So the benefit of us, he'll come back. I don't know if Brazil's got another game.
I think they do. I think almost every time they play at least two.
There you go. That makes sense.
So I think he's playing one more. Maybe he'll get a rest because it won't be necessary.
Hopefully, because God knows when he plays. Then the flight. Then obviously the game coming up.
Yeah, I think there's something. I think I read something about that there's a chance that he would get back like the day before the North London derby if he travels.
Okay. So yeah, the only thing you look at it when you mentioned Jesus, it made me think so. It's like you got a Richarlison who's going to come back chomping at the bit, obviously rejuvenated because he's in the Brazil squad. He scored a couple. It's a North London derby. Or you've got a Jesus who's going to be pissed that he didn't get called up and with a point to prove because there's only a limited time now. There's no more international games after this to impress the Brazil coach.
Yeah, am I going to get in the team?
Exactly. Yeah. I am now going to go.
Are you surprised he didn't get in the team for them? Because I recognize based on his performances so far for Arsenal. Obviously we hate Arsenal and there's no, you have to be honest about it. He's been good for them. He has scored goals. He has created a lot. He is a good player. Why didn't he get in the Brazil side?
Do you know what?
Strange one for me.
So I haven't really kept an eye on.
I mean, they're deep as fuck. So that's maybe the case.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't kept an eye on Brazil's national call-ups over the time. Maybe it's the manager prefers Richarlison over him. Maybe it's whatever. But when these signings happened, Jesus. I mean, we were linked with him, but I think Richarlison was the better one for us, and Arsenal needed. We needed Richarlison more than Jesus.
They both suited both teams
exactly.
Really.
And Jesus has come as the main man. And even at Man City, he started off like a train.
It'll be interesting to see if he keeps it up for Arsenal, right?
And it's not just that. Also with him, the Arsenal way they're playing, and let's face it, they are playing some good stuff. Unfortunately, as much stuff.
It hurts. It hurts to say, but it's true.
It's suiting the play.
I still don't think they've been challenged properly yet.
No, I mean,
when they were, they lost.
Exactly. But
we'll see how that goes.
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, obviously the North London derby.
We're going to get to that, by the way. We're going to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah,
we'll fully preview it.
But obviously, talking about Richarlison, listen, he's had a couple of after the Marseille game against Lisbon. He wasn't brilliant against Leicester when he got his start. He wasn't his best, and that's why Son came on and did what he did. But I am absolutely over the moon with Richarlison. He's
been fantastic. His attitude is right. His work ethic, his work rate, like in a game, how much effort he puts in. He never quits, even when because he does have a little bit of a sloppiness in him as a player, and that may be just him sort of being overly excited, which I see him often being. But I think there's a part of him that is kind of, he makes a couple of errors or he tries to do too much. It reminds me of Sonny when Sonny first came in, when he kind of like, he would run into defenders because he was trying to do too much. I think Richarlison's doing a little bit of that. When I saw him, the goals he scored for Brazil, it was wow. Wow. It was incredible. Like just really nuanced understanding of position and just went in, scored, bam, like really brilliant goals.
The difference I will say to Richarlison and Son when you use that comparison is Son was when he first came running into players trying to take on and just over elaborating things. I find with Richarlison, the thing it's his heavy first touch, which has run him in to those positions where he's got too much to do. So I saw that in the preseason friendlies as well.
I agree.
And it's not always. Some of his first time touches have been exquisite.
Yeah.
But there's certain moments at certain times when he just overhits the ball or doesn't control it correctly and it gets away from him.
Yeah.
But again, that is something that he's played a complete. Listen, he played at Watford.
I think there's a part of him that is so excited too. He's so pumped that those moments happen. Like, I don't know if you play football, when you're in that scenario and like you're pumped and you're into the game. You know, you're just you're like, the eagerness kind of makes you a little bit sketchy about how you control the ball. That's what I look when I see it. That's what I see.
I will tell you now what I used to do when I was playing football at whatever level, whether it be in the park for the team I play for, whatever. If I had taken a couple of players on and I was getting towards goal, I used to hear the match of the day, goal in the month tune in my head. I was like, or whatever the goal in the month tune was.
The moment sets in.
And I was just like, this has got to go. And it just made me stop doing everything that I should have been doing.
Yeah, of course.
And focus. So yeah, but then moving on to Brazil, just very quickly. Now, I don't know a lot about this. I didn't see I just saw social media going on about it.
Right.
About Højbjerg potentially injuring Perisic.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about this, if anything.
I didn't see it, but I saw the Twitter reaction because I was circumstantially on social media at the time. And apparently Højbjerg went in hard a little bit on Perisic, and Perisic looked a little bit. If you're in the comments right now and you know more about it, tell us.
Yeah, please do,
because we'll put your comment on. We'll discuss it. But I don't think there was much in it. I think Perisic was taken off, and it might have been partially because of that, but also because of fitness and whatnot. And they just want to bring in a different player. There was nothing ugly about it. It was just two international footballers going against each other in a difficult moment, and I think he caught him a little bit. I don't even think there was a foul call, if I'm not mistaken. So nothing to be too worried about. And I want to see that from the players who are they're players. They're going in to play a game. It's competitive. They want to win, so they're going to be in those scenarios where those types of situations happen. Obviously, when it's two Spurs players, it sucks.
Dread it.
Yeah, you're like, oh god, how did Højbjerg injure Perisic? That's the thought. But
this is the thing.
I think he's okay. I don't think it's going to affect whether or not he plays at Arsenal anyway. I don't think it's going to affect his performances or his fitness going into the rest of the games before the World Cup.
Well, you look at it as well, like you said, when players playing nationally, like in the Premier League against their fellow countrymen, when there's a tackle to be made, they don't think, "Oh, you're my countryman." They don't even see it. They just go for the ball and do whatever. And when it's
you're playing
right
football
now,
at that point.
Exactly. When it's this right now, you're playing for your country, which is a matter of national pride and everything for everyone. So there's no way that they would have known or whatever. And let's just hope, like you said, precaution, like Hugo. But I think we'll talk Hugo when we talk the filth. So yeah, is there any information on the injury? Did you see there in the comments more?
No, I don't think anybody's mentioned anything. I was just looking at it. Yeah, sorry, hands. So, I didn't see anything about it about the injury with Perisic. I don't think it's a thing. I think it was like, obviously there's a big deal made of it from Spurs fans because it's two Spurs players getting at each other a little bit. I'm sure they laughed about it afterwards, and it won't be an issue. So hopefully that's the case. When it comes to other, I think that's it for international roundup.
So before we do that, just to let people know, we are, as Bon Jovi said, while we're halfway there, we're at 50 likes, people.
Get there.
We're at 50 likes. Thank you, people. 104 watching at the moment. Just smash that like button. And if you like what you see, our link to our channel, Tottenham on Tour, is on there as a hyperlink. You don't even need to leave the...
Tap that hyperlink.
And we're literally 30 away from 5,000.
Nice to get to 5K this week.
If we can get to 5K during this show, it would be outstanding. But... that is that. What is the next topic?
The next topic is still international, but it's specific to one of our favorite players who's come out of his shell.
You talk about it. I was just going to tell it very quickly.
Yeah, 100%. And I might need to do that after you get back. So Heung-min Son scores a belter of a free kick. Again, another free kick. And really, really fantastic free kick. Top corner, 2-3 yards above the 18-yard box. In the comments, guys, and of course I recognize that this is an obvious one, but I want to hear your thoughts on it. When it comes to having a player that can score from free kicks, We haven't had one probably arguably since Bale consistently. I recognize that Eriksen had a period like in his early days where he scored a little bit. But Bale was the last one who basically whenever he stood up for a free kick, he'd likely score. We don't have that right now. Heung-min Son, from what I know, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but from what I know, Heung-min Son has scored a free kick from around that same area 3 times in the last maybe 5 games that he's played in international football because he's the one who takes the free kicks. What the hell is going on? Heung-min Son needs to be taking our free kicks. It has to happen, Brian. It has to be a scenario where if we get a free kick against Arsenal, Heung-min Son, Harry Kane steps aside. He goes, you know what? I recognize it. This guy over here, he keeps doing it. It's the one thing I'm not good at. I'm gonna let him have it. Let's let Harry Kane move aside and let Heung-min Son take the free kicks. What a free kick, by the way. Wow. Like top corner. Brilliant.
I didn't know much about Heung-min Son's free kick ability until obviously pre-season or this season.
It's
this
kind of
summer,
new, isn't it?
Where obviously we didn't know a lot because we didn't see him do it ever for Tottenham.
Yep.
And then you look at it it started showing that he's doing it for Korea. And like I said to you earlier, the thing with it is where he's taking them from is just outside the area, which is the hardest place to
it's where he just scored to get 2 goals for Spurs.
So but to get it up and over the wall and dip and bend whatever,
technique,
it's phenomenal. And you look at it and you start thinking, even with, and we'll talk about set piece coach later, the wonderful things he's doing, you would think that the set piece coach would say, right, the first thing I'm doing, or one of the first things I'm doing is,
Sonny, you're on free kicks.
You can't, whether this is Conte overruling him or who knows, but it's got to the point where it's a joke. And we were talking earlier, and you said in the North London derby, if there's the first free kick and Harry Kane goes to take it, you're going to go mad. I agree with you, but I think I would be fuming if, let's say, it was a draw and it was the 89th minute and we had a free kick and then Kane takes it. Then I'm going to be, he is absolutely phenomenal at everything he does. Everything that man does, apart from free kicks. And it's
Molly Pickle says it right. And this is, and I'm curious about this. And this is what we're wondering about. There must be some contractual reason why Kane is still on these free kicks more often than Son. What else would be the decision? Like, if we all look at the evidence and we're honest about this scenario, there's no reason to think that Kane should be the one taking free kick. Sonny has shown the last, like I just said, probably the last, I don't know, 3 out of 5, maybe he's scored. Yep. What the hell?
Well, it's not just that. You look at it and it just came to me as well. If people remember the embarrassment of Euro 2016 with Roy Hodgson, they had Harry Kane taking corners and free, and it was like, he can't do this. He can't do this. I mean, he had the one, I think it was during COVID, where he hit the crossbar against Man City.
Yeah.
But a vast majority, and when I've been in the stadium with Danny Kiriakou, every single time Harry Kane goes to take a free kick, we sing "It's hitting the wall, it's hitting the wall." Harry Kane, it's hitting.
Oh, I kind of don't think that's like the right thing to do. Like, as much as I recognize that it's true, if he's hearing that as he steps up to do it, he's going to hit the wall.
I can guarantee you, out of 62,000 people,
but it's fair.
Me and Danny singing that.
Oh, I thought you guys got everybody.
No, just
going.
Me and Danny.
Oh, okay,
just me and Danny. No one else.
I was picturing like
no.
the south stand. Everybody's going.
No. Just literally.
That would be me.
Literally, me and Danny. Well, no, this is the thing. It's
but necessary.
Exactly. He is passing exquisite, finishing exquisite. Link up play, exquisite. Like I said to you earlier,
he's good at everything else but that.
I'd love to know if anyone in the chat has got Football Manager or Championship Manager and I have his stats. What is Harry Kane's stat on set pieces? Because if it's above 2, there has got to be something wrong. But let's get this back to Son as well. What you got to remember as well, Spurs have actually released stuff from their training grounds where you've seen Son doing exactly the same thing as well.
Yeah,
and it's not just that. You got Eric Dyer, who takes free kicks better as well. But I don't see how much longer, or no, there is no much longer.
It has to be changed. Has to be done.
It has to be changed for the better. Yeah. I was saying as well, maybe it's because he wants the goal record and Jimmy Greaves and any chance he gets.
None of that should be a reason.
Exactly. That should be the manager saying, listen, I know you want your accolades. You're good enough. They will come. but free kicks is it's just not on. I mean, I can't see. I was talking earlier. People, we've got a super chat first. Let's do the
super chat. Let's get that up. We got a super chat from Brandon Troller.
Big up, Brandon.
Brandon, appreciate the super chat. Wish I could make it on tonight, but cheers, fellas. Much love to everyone in the chat. Remember that Doherty is a beautiful Irish butterfly.
And Brandon, you gave me your
nice
number.
One, Brandon. That's dope. I love that.
You gave me your number. I've WhatsApped you. I don't know if you have WhatsApp, but you are available, and Facebook Messenger. Let me know if you've got it or not.
Cheers for the support, mate. We appreciate
as always, I absolutely love Brandon. But yeah, getting back to it, as I said to you, we were talking about this earlier, and this is where I'm going to test people's knowledge because I'm trying to think. And the earliest I'm going is Hoddle, but I was trying to think of designated, guaranteed set piece takers.
Where you're going.
Set piece takers we've had since, or Hoddle going towards the present, that have been genuine when they had a free kick. You knew there was a set piece specialist, not always score, but genuine. Could it? And I said Hoddle, Gaza, Bale, Ericsson, and at the end I thought Ziga, because Ziga did have an incredible free kick on him. But I cannot remember any others. And you look at the other teams like Man City with De Bruyne, you got Liverpool with Robertson or Trent. There is a designated person that will test the goalkeeper occasionally.
Put it on net instead of hitting the wall or going over.
Exactly.
Like Sonny's got it, right? Like we know this, we've seen it. He's done it for the thing about a free kick like that is it's not involved. There's no gameplay involved. It's not like you have to like adjust because the defender's different or know you've got a wall. You've got 10 yards from you to that wall, and you've got the distance from you to the net, and you've got a scenario where you determine whether or not you can hit a certain spot that you're aiming for. Heung-min Son has proven in the last short period of time that he's capable of doing that, and he scored goals, big goals and big moments for to tie Costa Rica to 2-2, which was really good for them in the scenario they're in. You've got a player who can do that, and and then you go look at Harry Kane. Love you, Harry. Don't get upset. Who has scored one goal from a free kick that was a deflection. One goal from a free kick that was a deflection.
Or two, if you hit the one in Korea.
They were both deflections. I'm talking about in actual real
competitive.
I recognize that he did it twice, but it was also fluky.
Yep.
So come on, man. Like, it's just silly. There's not much more to say about it. Harry Kane needs to step aside as a good teammate and say to Sonny, "This is yours, buddy. You're good at this. You go ahead." And I honestly think if Harry Kane did that in the moment in a game, Sonny would step up and hit it.
Yeah, I think
it would just be a moment for both of them to respect level and to see what Sonny's capable of.
I think the question is, and it's kind of not a harsh one, but a reality is we were just talking about the FA and do they have the balls to sack Southgate? Does Conte have the balls to say, Harry Kane, listen, no. Yeah. No, just no free kicks.
You're not on them.
You're not on them. And do you know what? Obviously, we want it to be for as long as possible because he's just not good at it. But even if he says for the next couple of games to take some kind of sting out of your free kicks and whatever, just let someone else do it. Just let someone else do it. Yeah. And we'll have to see.
We will. We have the filth up next, Bri, but I think I'm going to move that till the end because it should be the last thing we talk about.
Okay.
Because it's the last thing.
Well, when you look at it, next week's show is going to be dominated.
Yeah.
Let's face
it. But let's end with it because that'll be the next thing. Okay. The last thing we do before we get people on.
You're the boss. You're in control.
I'm not the boss. We're the boss, but I feel like it's the right thing to do. So after this, we're gonna do some rankings because this is sort of the time of the season. It's it's the first bit of time that we have with some data that's been collected of how good a player is, what the performance has been, what the team's performance has been. There's a bunch of different stuff to talk about here. We're going to start with the best goal so far. So I'm going to let you do this because as you're explaining, and because we've already talked and I already know what you think, I'm going to go to the facilities.
Okay, you do that. I mean, for me...
And in the comments.
Exactly. In the comments, I can't read because I haven't got my glasses on too far, but Ireland will bring them back. For me, looking at the goals of the season or so far, it's got to be Son's first one for me. It's got to be. I'm just trying to think of any others. You got Højbjerg's the first equaliser against Chelsea with that daisy cut. But when you look at Heung-min Son's first goal, the weight and pressure that he came on with, obviously, then getting the ball by himself with two defenders And you know what? For someone who's come in for a lot of heat recently, and I'm one of the ones that gave it to him, but from a good place. To have the confidence to just literally not wait for support, not have any other thought, but to literally just run as far as he did, shift it to the right, and then just unleash an absolute rocket. And then obviously his reaction to it, just standing still, which was just pure class. So for me, it's got to be that Heung-min-son first one.
I'm back, baby. So Brian and I had an opportunity to talk about this beforehand, and I think the goal of the season is Heung-min-son's second goal. And I think this because I recognize that footballers are generally ambidextrous and they can play with both feet.
Yep.
But the left foot wand that like he curled around with his weaker foot, which I don't think he has, for me is just unbelievable. What a goal. What a goal. Like if you're looking at like goals of the season so far, or goal like just from across the board, like you get to the end of the season and that goal for me is still in the Premier League, should be a nomination for best goal of the season. He's come off the bench, he's scored a wonder goal from his right foot, and then 5 minutes later he gets up his left foot out, and it's his weaker foot, and he curls it. Just, oh my God, it was incredible. What a goal so far. For me, the best goal of the season. In the comments, give us your best goal of the season. There are some other really, really good goals. I actually think in this game, that Bentancur goal, despite the,
I didn't even think of that.
Despite the, the fact that it was sort of given to him possession wise, the finish was incredible. Like tucking it into the corner. The Højbjerg goal where he had the build-up play inside the box. He looked at Harry Kane. Great goal. There's been some wonderful goals this season. So in the comments, give us your thoughts.
There's been a few.
We got. Well, let's go to a few of them here. We got Bobby Case's Kane's goal at Chelsea, late draw to piss them off. Lovely, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, like I said, this is personal for you, and we are going to be asking you when you come on, to choose one that you want to talk about out of these categories. But for there's so many ways it could be the best goal. It could be like that dramatic winner, the equal. Harry Kane called it a winner, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
That dramatic to get the point. It could be for your own reason. It doesn't have to be just because aesthetically it was the most pleasing. It could be a personal reason for you, whatever. But yeah,
it could be a personal reason. It could be the effect it had on the game and coming off the bench. I think the thing about the reason we both picked Sonny's goals, and I think you would agree with me, is that he came off the bench after all of the sort of hadn't scored a goal yet, won the Golden Boot last season, comes off the bench in 13 minutes, scores a hat trick, and those first two goals were just class. In that type of moment is just, again, levels above. It's a world-class moment from a world-class player, and we haven't had that moment this season other than that. I mean, we've had good goals, we have good moments, but that was special. I think Sonny did some very special things. Very cool.
Is there anybody else got a different goal? Anyone else apart from Sonny's goals in that list?
We got a worse Spurs goal from Wolfsby.
And what they said? Oh, the one against them.
Probably. Why is it not going up? There we go. Worst Spurs goal was Perisic assists and Kane's goal against Wolves.
There you go. There you go.
Wolfsby. Yeah, fair enough. I recognize why you wouldn't be happy about that, but we are. So
what's the like I said, we've done some quirky ones rather than just the bog standard. So what have we got as the next one?
Let me just quickly bring
go through.
Just let me bring up Game PC Gamers comment. My theory on why Kane keeps hitting the wall on free kicks is that Kane is actually aiming for the player on the wall that pisses him off.
Well, if that's the point, then he's doing absolutely exceptionally well at it.
Yeah, for sure. He's incredible.
Then he's golden.
Yeah, for sure. We got another Højbjerg's goal against Chelsea was class. I agree. Fantastic.
That's what I said would be my second.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah, and I think that's a good shout for sure. I think that's a really good goal. And Højbjerg this season, getting involved in goals, getting involved in assists. He's a more progressive player than we'd seen previously.
Yep.
And this is coming from a player that I think a lot of people sadly hate on for no good reason. He's statistically arguably the best defensive midfielder in the league at the moment, possibly in Europe. to some extent. Statistically, I'm not saying that, from the eye test, things are different. Statistically, he's incredible.
Not just that, if there's one person that I think everyone would agree with this, that you could guarantee would be fit and ready to play, it's him.
Yeah.
This man is just a machine.
He's a beast. Yeah, he's a Viking. He's a Viking,
He's
right?
an absolute machine. Now, all right, there's other players that you say are first on the team sheet, obviously Son, Kane, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
But if you could depend, like, who can I depend on and know that's going to be ready?
Højbjerg every time. In that, he is a Conte player.
Yeah.
Like, Conte wants a player like that to be that like gritty and aware and comfortable and always ready, always at the highest level. David Delgado says, I think the best goal will be Kane at the Emirates after the break.
Let's hope so.
Gets in there, David.
Let's hope so. Let's hope it's anyone at the Emirates. Let's hope it's anyone.
Bobby K's comments are Richie's brace and celebrating with his parents after. Love that. Yeah, absolutely. So we have been talking Premier League, and that's Champions League, and that was.
Well, no, it could be
anyone for sure. Good shout.
No, there's a category that would fall right into.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a category that would fall right into. So what's the next one?
The next one we got right now. Let me just maybe take the comment down real quick. The next one we've got is best performance, individual and team. So
you go first.
Best individual performance is Sonny's performance in 13 minutes, scoring 3 goals.
Agreed.
I can't argue with that. I think individually speaking, there's really good performances from specific players at certain moments for certain periods of time, but you can't argue with fucking 3 goals in 13 minutes.
Yep.
I think if there was another one I would throw in the mix just to sort of have a conversation about it, it would be in the same game, and it would be Bentancur. I think Bentancur, as soon as he had another midfielder, when Basuma came on, ran that game, like ran it. Like it was like, holy shit, it was Modric running like levels of quality. So his performance is there, but it's not long enough. Not that it's not long enough. It wasn't like there were so many other things involved to get it to that level, whereas Sonny just came on and owned the game. So individual performance.
And what about team?
Team performance. I think when we spoke about it, I said this game as well. And I think it's hard to argue that. I think Chelsea would be the other one where, despite not necessarily playing well, we got a result. And that's something that we had never, I would say never, rarely do.
Very rarely. Very rarely.
Rarely do. So I think that those 2 games are for different reasons, the 2 best performances. And I think the weight of getting a point at Chelsea away takes the cake a little bit for me.
So for me, I think.
Did I steal that from you?
You did. I said
I think I did. But I think I had a bit of time to think about it.
Do you know what? I'm going to. Sonny for me is the performance because of what he did, but I think what we got to look at as well is Hugo Lloris against Fulham.
Oh,
he
never gets enough credit because he's so fucking
He was
good.
very good against Leicester. And when it was 2-2, he made some saves. But do you know what? After Mitrovic scored that goal, Fulham piled on the pressure.
They did.
And so I believe it's Son, but as you said, Son, I'm going to say a different one and say Lloris in that game.
I think it's a good shout.
And for me, performance now, obviously, for me, performance of the season, again, we'll go to the comments in between each one. It has to be Chelsea. Listen, none of us have been happy with the style of football or the way we've been playing or selection or whatever. But like you said, Stamford Bridge is a notorious place for us. Went 1-0 down.
Yeah.
Obviously, we got the equaliser. Then we put on a bit of pressure, let in a sloppy second goal. And then, obviously, there was the build-up with Conte and Tuchel before it exploded at the end. But then that never give up attitude. And thankfully, Perisic on corners managed to get that. And taking a point away from Stamford Bridge for us is great. But do you know what? For the players, if people in the comments and in the chat have watched Ted Lasso, there's an episode where they go to Goodison Park, I think it is, where they haven't won. And their confidence in them in the changing room, oh, it's Everton, we always lose.
Yeah. So it's brilliant, actually.
So there's no way that when they go to Stamford Bridge, it's not in the back of their minds, the hoodoo, and they know what this ground is, and they would have heard it from the supporters, in the media, whatever, the wretched record we have there.
Yeah.
So then to do that in the 96, whatever the minute it was, for me, that is performance of the season.
I have to agree. I think the thing about that's important to understand is that's the opposite of Spursy. That was a moment where we would have almost every single time lost that game. And again, it's a Conte effect, but it is the thing that Spurs are trying to get past is that horrible I don't even know what it is, but there's this like expectation of us bottling it, and I fucking hate it, but it's also true. So it's kind of like oh no, it's oh god, fuck yeah, you know. And in a game that every single time we would have lost that game, and we didn't, and we got over the line. So yeah, massive game. I think that's a great show for performance.
So what have we got in the comments before you change it to the next
let me just go through it here.
And whilst you're going through it, I think I'm just going to do a quick like check.
We got one from David Delgado. I think the best we played this season is in a 3-5-2. I agree completely. Controlling the game instead of relying on counterattacks. 100%, David. I would love for us to do that same 3-5-2 that we played at the end of the last game against Leicester, against Arsenal, and I think we would dominate them. I think they would not know what the fuck to do with it. It's absolutely must be the case, but we'll see what Conte does if he's going to go back to his 3-4-3, and we'll see what happens. Team performance. This is an interesting one from Bobby K, and I kind of agree, but it's the first game of the season against a really poor Southampton side who didn't really end the season very well, and against a Spurs side who didn't necessarily worry too much about who they were. They just kind of came out.
You know, the one thing I will say about with Bobby K's comment, if you look at it, we started that Southampton game brightly. We went 1-0 down, and I think it is the only game where we came back in that first half and said, right, this ain't happening.
Fixed it
quickly. All right, Southampton were weak.
It's a good shot.
But if you look at all the other games we played, that first half's performances have been an issue. And yes, Southampton were weak, but rather than just starting brightly and then just sitting and waiting until second half, we addressed it. So maybe it was the first day buzz that did that.
I think so. I think that's part of it for sure. It's hard to determine 100%, but yeah, I agree with you there for sure. We got from Pack Tactics, Chelsea's the best team performance. Sunny versus Leicester, best individual. Right. I think Pack, you agree with us. I think Brian and I were both on the same page on that, and it's hard to argue, especially with the effect it had. Whether it was the team effect against the Chelsea side away, where we always fucking shit the bed, and then also Sonny coming on off the bench for the first time and scoring and getting a hat trick in 13 minutes. I mean, both of those things are pretty special moments. So we got from Grandmaster Hinky, Southampton was the best team performance for me. I love the Chelsea result, but it felt lucky to get it. I don't disagree with that to an extent, but again, I think from the Southampton perspective, first game of the season, there's a lot of things in there that I think make it a little less important and exciting, despite it being a very good performance and very dominant.
And this is why we said, like we said, this is personal. It's not, there is no right answer or wrong answer.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
100%.
how people see it, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. A good point. Thanks, Brian, for pointing that out. Obviously, according to the counterparts, 3-4-3 and 3-5-2 can be mixed use within one game. Certainly, and I mean, I think good point. I don't know your name. I can't read the language that's there, but 100% agree. I think what Conte was able to do in that game against Leicester to change it the way he did, to go from the 3-4-3 to the 3-5-2 and then go boom control. Whether we start that way or whether we end up needing to go there against Arsenal, I would like to see it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that when it gets to
we're getting there.
It gets to the filth.
I got from Wesley Schneider. What's up, Wesley Schneider?
Up, Wesley Schneider? Thanks for dropping in.
Nice set, by the way. You were right about Potter. Class matter. Should have waited for the England job. See, you know what? I got grief for that from almost everybody on the YouTubes, especially with the Spurs YouTubes. Everybody's like, fucking Harry Potter. Kept calling him Harry Potter. I was like, this guy's a good manager. He's a good manager. He's going to do well at a high level. It's unfortunate he's gone to Chelsea. I think it's going to be a bad move for him, but it is what it is. Let's just go through a couple of these. Unless we get a right wing back, 3-5-2 cannot be a mainstay. We have wing backs, right wing, three of them. That two of them, one of them in particular, is very good at it. In a Matt Doherty who is not playing a ton, but I don't understand that.
No, I can see where it's going. If you look at it, we've got Emerson, who's a right back, who plays right wing back.
Sure.
You've got Matt Doherty, who can play it, who's very
good at it.
He is, but is he at the level that we need? that's up for debate. Then you've got Kulu and Mora, who they say can revert back and can do it. That's not they will do it. And then you've got
the deepest position we have on the team.
No, but then you've got the man that Conte doesn't even acknowledge in Jed Spence who could do it. So I can see where he's coming from with that. I can see where he is coming from. Not necessarily because I think what we saw against Leicester, but against bigger teams, it could be.
I have a question for you here. What's the difference between not having a right wing back for 3-5-2 and not having a wing back for 3-4-3? You still need a right wing back. If the problem is that we don't have a right wing back, it doesn't matter the formation. So this statement doesn't matter, because if you think we just need a better right wing back, that's fine. But the formation doesn't make a difference, because you're still relying on a wing back. So
you got a point there.
So I don't think it makes a difference. I think we have enough depth in that position to shift to it comfortably and get good results from it. We got let's go through more of these comments. Then we'll get to the next part. Poch for the England job. I said it earlier. I'd like to see it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'd like to see it. From Moldy Pickle, if Perisic is injured, I think we have to play 3-5-2 where we have a bit more control. I don't think it has anything to do with whether Perisic is injured. I think we should still be playing a 3-5-2. But I agree that certainly his role in that system is a big deal. So I get what you're saying there. Tuchel does the mixing 3-4-3 to 3-5-2. Conte does as well. He just doesn't seem to be. He seems to be a bit rigid about it at Spurs, where he hadn't been previously. No,
we spoke about this previously. Obviously, he played it against Liverpool last season, but when we were on the win-lose run for ages, I, for one, and I know a lot of other people were crying out for the 3-5-2, but I understood why, because he didn't have because remember, we lost Dembele, who played in the Liverpool game, he was rubbish and all that. He did not have the players with the mindset and the skill that he could trust to play 3-5-2. So as much as I think he may have wanted to revert and use a different formation, he didn't trust the players to be able to carry off what he was doing. So he just stuck to his default. Whereas this season,
he's got more of
He's now got the players where he can switch it, mix it about and say, Joe, I trust these players. I trust this one. He can go in and do it. So I think we will see it a bit more often. But I think that's the difference from last season to this season.
It's a fair show. And I couldn't disagree with that. I think ASDF has gotten back to what I had just said. 3-4-3 has an extra winger to support out wide. He's got a point. 3-5-2 puts all the responsibility on wingback to provide width. That's true, but you also add a third midfielder, and that third midfielder can manage the fact that width is being given to.
You're both right.
Yeah. So again, I think it's something you try with the players you have and you determine it. And I think we have the squad to do it. I think we have the players to do it. But I get your point, STF. I don't think you're wrong there. I think we're both semi-right, and it's sort of a scenario where you kind of need to see it.
Do two semi-rights make a right?
Do semi-rights make a? I don't know what that means.
There you go. So just before we go on to the next category, just to say we are 30 away from the 100 likes.
Yeah, come on, guys. How many? 30. We got 103 people. You know. If there's 103, we should have 103 likes. Get in there and hit
100% would be lovely. So yeah. So is there any more? We go on to the next category.
I'm just quickly scanning this, and I think we're ready to roll on to the next one. Let me sorry, I got to bring down the comment because I forgot to do that. Banners. Next one we got.
And just before you bring it up, just to remind people, I can see 2 people are in the back room waiting. The link is in the community section.
Yeah, let's get some more people in there and have a chat with us in a bit.
We'll be bringing you on very shortly. So the next category was?
Next category is standout player.
Here we go.
You go first, Brian. You go first on this one.
Do you know what? It's between 2 people for me. And for me, it's between my favourite player, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and Hugo Lloris. Hugo Lloris is an exceptional goalkeeper.
He's the most underrated goalie.
He is an exceptional goalkeeper. Ever. His shot stopping is unbelievable. What I've liked that he seemed to have done under Conte is like when we first signed him, he started coming out of his area a bit more or pushing forward. A bit more aggressive. The one thing with him, as we were talking about, his distribution when he kicks the ball and picks it up and kicks it or throws it,
it's very good.
It's very good, but his distribution at the back when we're trying to play it from the back, and then he's punching. His new thing is rather than kicking long, whatever, he punches when he should catch, and it's
happened a couple times. I don't know that's I think it's because it's so highlighted. in a scenario where it looks so awkward. He's only done that a couple of times, but it was like, what are you doing?
It irritates you. But, out of the two, and I've just come to this conclusion now, I think I'm going to have to say Hugo. And the reason I say Hugo is he has made some vital saves in vital moments. Højbjerg, as brilliant as he has been, and like I said, he's my favourite player, there's been a half here where he's disappeared and then come in the second half.
Yeah,
and then
fair.
There's been a first half where he's been everywhere, and second half he's dropped off. So and it's a very, very slight, very, very, very slight standout player for me is Hugo so far.
Yeah, I think both of those are a good shout. And I think we spoke about it earlier before we went live that those were the two players that kind of stood out. But there's a player that, for me, and I'm this is off the cuff a little bit, maybe hasn't stood out per se, but should be one of the first names on the team sheet on a regular basis, and that's Kulusevski. Even coming off the bench, every time he comes into a game, he affects it. And he affects it in a way that makes the other team uncomfortable. He either gets an assist or he's in a scenario where a goal is created. He was absolutely incredible last season, and I think he's continued that form this season. He's been unlucky to not be a starter in the last 3 games, or 3 of the 4. I think he started last game against Leicester. He stands out for me as, from an attacking perspective, you look at form. I know Kane scored 5 goals, brilliant, but he hasn't stood out performance-wise in every game. Sonny, as we know, he's had one really good game. Kulusevski, for every single game he's played, whether it's off the bench or starting, has been fucking brilliant. He does his crossing is incredible. One of the best crossers of the ball. Like that Harry Kane goal with the header, it's laser beam.
It was the same
accuracy.
with Southampton for Pochettino.
Brilliant.
Exactly the same.
Exactly laser beam accuracy. I think, for me, stand-up performance from a player who's been consistently good all season. Kulusevski gets it for me. In the comments for you guys,
let's have a
give us yours.
Do you know what?
Give us your thoughts.
You raised a very good point, and like I was saying with Kulu, even when he's come on, he's made an impact. He's given us that spark.
He changes a game immediately as soon as he comes on.
It's a good shout.
If he comes on, or if he's playing first, if you get it to that side, Kulusevski does something immediately.
It's a good shout.
Uncomfortable.
It's a good shout. What we got in the comments?
What do you got in the comments? We got Bobby K says 100%. He's been a gem. Steal for what we've got. 100%, Bobby. Fantastic. From Pack Tactics, PEH has been a standout. Kulu needs more playing time. I agree, he needs more playing time, but when it comes to impact in the time he's played, he's arguably had more impact than any other player when he comes on, or if he starts. He from a forward perspective, he's been the most.
Apart from some 13 minutes.
Yeah, in the one moment, for sure. But you get what I'm saying there for sure. Let me just see what else we got. From Grandmeister Hinking, the Viking or Decky, Hugo is a good shout, but the Champions League performance made me cringe a bit this year. That's fair.
I guess he's talking about Marseille, because let's face it, against Sporting, if it weren't for him, it could have been 4 or 5-0. He made some incredible saves against Sporting. Yes, both the goals we conceded, you would have hoped he would have done a bit better. But the Marseille game, I think he looked a bit more suspect. But Decky, and I think we're seeing it's the 3, isn't it? It's Pierre, it's Lloris, and Decky.
Yeah, for sure.
You said, that's getting the shouts.
Absolutely. We have one comment here from Conte's Ketchup, which I love the name, by the way. Conte's Ketchup. Fantastic. But I'm a little concerned about what you think about Højbjerg. Højbjerg sideways and backwards. Højbjerg has the most forward passes of any defensive midfielder in the league this season. He has the most. And I'm sorry, I don't have the actual statistic to put it up, but I read it. He has the most chances created from a defensive midfielder in the Premier League this season. So I don't think what your Conte's Ketchup, I love saying that, what you're saying is true. Højbjerg has scored 2 goals this season, which that's the most he'd scored for the team.
Yeah, I think he for in his Spurs career, I think he scored more goals at Bayern.
He's a different bag, man. I'm sorry if you have an agenda against Højbjerg and you don't like him because of he's not pretty. He's not a pretty footballer. He's a Viking. He's aggressive. He's a strong
guy.
But you know what I mean. But he's an aggressive, strong footballer. He's not a player that you're gonna be like, ooh, Iniesta. He's gonna do some fancy stuff. He does not pass sideways and backwards. He's a very forward-thinking player, and I only say that's recent under Conte. I don't think he was like that previously. I think you could say he was a sideways and backwards kind of player. But under Conte, and especially this season, he's very forward-thinking. And this statistics bear it out. And you, as much as you can say, oh, statistics don't tell the whole story, in this case, they tell a story that is very clear that Højbjerg is doing something as a midfielder in that position that he hadn't done previously, that we didn't think we had. And he's doing it very well. So, Conte's Ketchup.
It's a great name. I love the names you get.
You get props for the name, but not for the comment. We'll see. Conte's Ketchup responds: the most passed through against Chelsea, Wolves, West Ham, and Notts Forest. He was found out in those games, sideways and backwards.
You know, this is let me respond. This is kind of the thing, like I said, and why I didn't give him my standout player so far, because there has been games where there has been the odd half where he hasn't been at the standard he set. If he'd carried on the standard that it's set in other games, I don't think Conte's Ketchup says this comment. But there have been games, don't get me wrong, a majority of this season so far, he's been superb for me, superb. But there have been the games when his first half or his second half where he's not been at the standard he set, it has been like anonymous and a little bit of sideways passing. But overall,
yeah, I don't disagree with that, but I don't think you're looking at the whole scenario there. Honestly, when you're playing in a midfield two,
2 seconds.
Yep. When you're playing in a midfield two with a 3-4-3, you can do that here, by the way, right?
Okay.
Yeah. You're playing in a midfield two with a 3-4-3, and the expectation is to try to progress when you're playing against a 3 in the midfield. It isn't going to come off the same way you might think it is going to come off. And I think like expecting a player of that ilk to control a midfield when you're playing in a 2 and you're playing against a 3, and it just isn't, for me, it just isn't the right way to look at it. It isn't always going to be beautiful. It isn't always going to be perfect.
With the name like that, Conte's Ketchup, he must have very, very high demands or standards, and maybe that's what it. Like we said, this is all personal.
Of course.
Exactly.
We're just having debates. It's fun.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So yeah. Anyone else that's gone? Anyone else other than the players we've been mentioning?
No, we got a Perisic mention here. Let me just bring that up. Perisic outlandish crosses from uncrossed position against both. I think just generally Perisic has been brilliant. There's suspect parts of his defensive play. But it's not what's expected of him in a Conte system as a wingback.
Yep.
And so I think Perisic has been brilliant personally.
I love him.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I love what he brings to the team mentally when it comes to being a winner, because he's won everything. He's fucking played at the highest level, and you can see the difference in the players that he's affecting. And Sessegnon has been the obvious one.
Do you know when I think we'll see the best of Perisic is? He so wants that goal. Against Leicester, he cut in from the right and he went to shoot and someone blocked it. He did it in the first game against Southampton when he came off the bench, when he passed it, when he was clear. I think once he gets that first goal, he's got the first assist. I think once he's got that first goal,
he's going to start scoring.
Yeah, I think then
I agree. That's a good shot.
And we'll have to wait and see, but I adore the man.
Let's talk a little bit about Richarlison here. Shaquille Ahmad has posted a Richarlison question mark. I think Richarlison has been brilliant. I think he's affected games so much from his intensity and his passion and how much he cares about what he's doing. I think he's, technically speaking, he's had moments where it's been a holy shit, that's the player we have. And then there's moments where I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, I think from his link up play, passing when it comes to, being involved with Harry Kane and Son and being able to sort of interact with them. I think there's some learning curve there. And I think that's the nature of the scenario when you play with other people who've played together. Obviously, Kane and Son, we all know their history. Getting involved in that too, and being a third, you sort of have to figure out what's going on and how to influence games and how to influence that scenario. But I think Richarlison's been brilliant. I mean, I love him in the team. I think he's absolutely fantastic. I think he has a level to go.
I personally think if we were doing this before the Sporting and Leicester game, he wins by a country mile. He wins by a country mile because, like you said, every game he's come off the bench, he's affected. His first team start against Fulham, he was absolutely didn't get the goal. He hit the post with that incredible volley and the technique of that. The goal disallowed. Then obviously the wonder show against Marseille, and then obviously Sporting Lisbon, he had a goal disallowed. But those two performances were just not at the standard that he has set, whether coming from the bench or starting. And I will categorically state that if we were doing this before those two games, for me, Richarlison stands out by a million miles.
I think the thing about Richarlison that makes him stand out, obviously, is his quality. But I think the difference from what we're used to in our forward line, when you think about Mora, you think about Kane, you think about Son, you think about, I mean, Kulusevski is different. I think he's in his own conversation. I think that's what Richarlison is doing. He's different. He does, when you put Richarlison on with Son and Kane, with Kane and Kulusevski, there's a difference in how we play, and it's very obvious. Like, it's intensely obvious, and he's aggressive about what he does. And I think from our perspective as fans who watch the same players like Son and Kane play for so many years in the same sort of way, to have a player come on like he's done and do what he's done, like with the passion and the emotion, is just, it's why I love football. It's what I love. Like, no, you're right. I think he gives that to the team. I think the players on the pitch, like, I think it was Eric Dyer was interviewed a couple of days ago, and he was asked, like, what does Richarlison bring to the team, and he was like, it's just something different. There's something about him, his passion, his energy, and how he sees the game and how he just participates. It's always, everything's on the line. Right, and that's a Conte player, and that's something that Spurs as a club have been missing. We have players here and there that do it, but
the attacking bite.
Yeah, but at the level that he's at, from a quality perspective, with that passion combined, is impressive, and I think we're very, very lucky to have him. And I think that all the people who are like 60 million for Richarlison are kind of going, 60 million for Richarlison. Like, we got very lucky with that.
Indeed. So what's the next category we're doing?
All right, let's get at it.
And how long have we been going so far?
We're an hour and 20 minutes in.
All right, let's wrap these ones a bit more quicker so we can.
Yeah. And the biggest disappointment, we don't need to talk about this for too long.
Do you know what? I've got three now. I've got three.
I just said we don't need to talk about it for too long.
I'm going to do it very, very quickly, but I'm going to say which. My biggest disappointment, number one, we spoke about Harry Kane on still free kicks. This is not in numerical order. Number two, Yves Bissouma's performance against West Ham. He got his chance, and obviously it's a fierce derby, a passionate rivalry away at that ground. I just don't think he covered himself in glory that game. But again, he came on in the 3-5-2 and he made a difference.
Yeah, and according to Conte, didn't know the system and wasn't necessarily ready. So you sort of had to take that into account.
This is my biggest disappointment, and it might cause a bit of debate in the comments. My biggest disappointment is Cuti Romero, and it's not because. It's just he hasn't looked the same since last season. Don't get me wrong, he's our best defender.
I thought he started really well, but I think that injury is affecting him. He was poor against Fulham first, then he was injured. That's true. That challenge for Mitrovic's goal was just so weak. And if there's one word you would never associate with Cuti, it's weak. Then again, and I say this, he's been rushed back too early. And this is when I keep saying about Son, overplayed and undervalued, obviously I always never talk about finances. I talk about his body. He's human. Sure. And Romero's at fault for this as well, because we know he was jumping at the bit to play. I'm fit, I can play. Yeah. It's just been, he set such high standards. And he just hasn't looked, and it could be that injury. And then you look and say, well, why didn't we buy another defender for extra cover? So for me, I think he'll come good though. I think it's a brief moment.
There is no doubt whatsoever. Once he's back to 100% fitness and playing,
he's still arguably the top 5 best center halves in the league,
without a doubt. And will he be better and back to his normal self sooner rather than later? 1,000,000,000%. Yeah. It's just we're analysing this part of the season. Yep. So for me, what about you?
My biggest disappointment is lack of rotation.
Well, that's a good one.
From
You're thinking outside the box.
I'm thinking inside the box. From the manager, who obviously there's no part of me that thinks that it's the wrong guy, but I think that there's been moments and there's been times where I've just been like, we need to need to rotate. I want to see Jed Spence play in the last 20, 30 minutes. I want to see what he can bring to the table. I want to see Basuma in moments where we're comfortable in a game or even where we're uncomfortable, which is actually what he did against Leicester. And I was like, why did it take him so long to do that? So yeah, the lack of rotation from a squad that we now have that we all were waiting for, it took a long time for that rotation to start to happen. It started to happen. I want to see more of it. And I was disappointed it didn't happen sooner.
There we go. So let's have a quick whiz through the comments and then move on to the next one. So we're 18 away from 100. 18, which is a good number for Tottenham. Klinsmann, Defoe, Kane. Let's smash that 18.
Number 9 times 2.
Very good.
There you go.
So what have we got?
The realist biggest disappointment, fans doubting Son and wanting him dropped. So, okay, let's quickly. I know Brian's triggered already from saying
I'm not triggered. I'm not triggered.
Sonny didn't get dropped. Sonny needed to be rotated because he was tired and his form was off. This is normal for a footballer. And when you do what Conte did in this case, which was 100% correct, you get a player responding, which is exactly what we saw. So there's no for me, and of course you're welcome to your position there, the realist. There's no issue with the dropping Son, and I don't think it was dropping Son. I think it was making a decision that was best for the player and for the club, which is what Conte always says is what he wants to do. I think fans wanting to see him dropped is maybe an aggressive way of saying we'd rather see like a decision made by the manager to change. We have enough players in the position. We just bought Richarlison for 60 million. Sonny, take a rest, buddy. You're not hitting it right now. You'll come back. We know you're good enough that it's not a problem. So it's a weird one. I'll
be very brief with this. It's not true. What the difference is, and this is what's caused a lot of problems on social media. People that requested or wanted, and I'm one of them, Son to be dropped, rested, whatever buzzwords you want to use.
Yeah.
We aren't Son doubters. We're Son lovers.
Yeah.
We just
want to see the best of
We just thought having the people that are Son doubters are people are the ridiculous people that were saying sell Son to Liverpool, sell Son, Sonny get out the club, Sonny's lost it.
It's absurd.
They are the people, but the Sonny, I was one of them that said he needs whatever buzzword you want to use.
It's not even a buzzword. It's the difference between it's mentality. Sorry, Brad, to interrupt, but it's the difference between mentality of recognizing what rotation is when you have a squad to we only have 12 or 13 players that we're comfortable with, and I'm going to drop him because he's not good enough. Yeah. That's the difference. The biggest clubs who win shit, who are going to challenge for titles, challenge for cups, recognize the player's not playing the best his possibility right now, but the player knows that this isn't we're not upset with you. Yeah. We recognize that this is the case. Take a break for a couple of games or for a game. We'll bring you off the bench and we'll see what happens. And we saw exactly what happens. Sonny comes on, scores 3 goals in 13 minutes. Yep. It's rotation because we're a big club and we have a squad that can manage it. And if a player isn't performing the way that they need to be, the rotation is fine because we have players that can come in and do the job. That's big club mentality. Small club mentality is going, oh man, if we don't have Son, we're fucked. If we don't have Kane, we're fucked. If we don't have this guy, we don't have Dembele, which we went through for years. We don't have Dembele, we're fucked. Yeah. No, we have a squad. The squad manages it because we have a manager who understands that, and we have quality in all the positions that we need to ensure that that's not an issue.
Exactly. And like I just said, it's Sonny doubters weren't Sonny haters or non-lovers. It's just what we thought was needed to be done. And I said it before with Harry Kane should have been dropped, but the only thing that was different with Harry Kane was he was employed to score goals and he was scoring goals. If the roles had been reversed and Sonny had been banging them in or not banging them in at the rate Kane had, and Kane hadn't, I would have said exactly the same thing for Kane. Exactly the same thing for Kane. Even when I was there last season, when I went to the Chelsea game when we lost 3-0, the Villa game, he was playing awfully coming back from the transfer saga, let's call it. And I was screaming at Kane. I was like, what the hell, man? I was like, you've down tools. I was fuming at him. Yeah. But anyway, we said we're going to go through this quickly. Anyone else that said other players?
Well, just another one from you can. I like this comment because I think it says the sort of what we're talking about. You can Guardiola. He rotates everybody, and we spoke about that in I think it was De Bruyne was the only player on
to play over 30 games
to play over 30 games. And if you have a good squad, that understands that and understands the roles. That's how you
That's why they're
perform
in
and how you win things.
of FA Cup
course,
finals.
I mean, they're a bought team, and we understand all the other shit behind it. But if you're going to look at it in a way that is appropriate, that's what it comes down to for me.
Next category. And we'll be quick with these ones. We've got, I think, 1 or 2 more categories. A quick talk about the filth, and then we're getting people on. Unsung hero.
I got to go first on this one because I think this is one that is incredibly important. The way we play. When he came in last season in January, Rodrigo Bentancur is so important to the way we play. Completely understands what it is that is required under a Conte system, and does it so well. I recognize that he's a little inconsistent, and I think that that's part of that is the opponents and tactically speaking, sometimes he doesn't quite respond. Sometimes he doesn't start well either. Sometimes he's a bit of a slow starter. But if you look at the way we play with when he's on and when he's not, it's a completely different team. And I don't think a lot of people recognize the value of this player. He's so good at transition and at understanding and dictating what his teammates are going to do and what they should do. If you watch him in a game, if you watch Bentancur in a game in that midfield, he's always pointing, he's always talking, he's always saying, here, do this, do this, do this, do this. And if he's on, and if you saw that against Leicester in that last 30 minutes, especially when we went to a 3 in the midfield, ridiculous, like just dominating, controlling, understanding this is how to play football. This is what you're supposed to do right now. Listen to me, and everybody doing it and going, fucking hell, incredible. Bentancur for me is an unsung hero. He is at a level in the midfield that I don't think we've had for a while. Okay. And I love him to death.
Okay, so I'm thinking outside the box. I'm thinking so outside the box that the person I'm going to talk about doesn't even get on the pitch. And I am going to say the unsung hero is one Gianni Vio, the set piece coach. Because
that's a great show.
We have
how many goals have we scored?
We've already scored the same amount of set pieces that we did last season.
That's absurd.
And I said this on the Irish Hotspur yesterday. If you look at it, last season before he came, whenever we got a corner, we're like, okay, is this going to hit the first man? Is this going to even get on target? Is this going to find a Spurs player? Is this going to result in anything? And I don't think you'd find 3 in a game. I don't think you'd find 3 in a game last season. But then you look at, and I'm just going to use the Leicester game. First corner, short corner, Kulusevski, Kane, goal.
Yeah.
Second goal, Perisic corner, Dyer header, goal. Third corner, Perisic corner went in, but was ruled offside. Not ruled offside because of the foul on the goalkeeper.
It's incredible, isn't it?
When we used to get set pieces or corners or free kicks, we're like, oh,
there was nothing in it ever.
There's like, you know what, let's just see.
They didn't train for any of it.
At the Scotland Yard, we used to say, you're like, is it going to hit the wall? Is it going to go out of bounds? Is it going to hit the roof? Is it going to go in row Z? Is it going to go?
We already know this. Like statistically speaking, corner kicks are the least. Like I think it's like 2% of corner kicks. It will result in a goal.
Yeah.
Like it's really, really low. So the fact that we've probably in this case with Spurs, it's probably around 10%.
Yeah,
it's a massive increase.
Yeah,
it's a thing that we never had, right?
Not just that as well. There's actual set pieces that we're doing as well. You can see their routines.
Yeah, for sure.
You could see they're scripted. There was one in the Sporting Lisbon game when Harry Kane pretended to walk away from the ball, came back and quickly hit it, and it went to Emerson, and nothing happened. But for me, without a shadow of a doubt, he is the unsung hero. What have we got? I hope there's a few people agreeing with me.
I agree. I think that's Mr. Daigle nails it. We've seen, keep chatting. I realize that when we're going to bring people on, we're going to need to hear those people. So I have to change some settings. But yeah.
You go through the settings out. What's the next one on the list, or is it talking about the filth?
I think the filth is next. So
okay.
Let's start with it. You can roll on about that, and I'll get the settings sorted out.
Start doing that, and then obviously I'll talk about the little bit of there's a huge concern for people that don't live in England and aren't aware of it. This game still might not go ahead, and it's nothing to do with every gunner is a runner. It's nothing to do with COVID. It's nothing to do. Back home, there are huge amounts of rail strikes going on at the moment. And as we currently speak, there is one planned for the weekend of the North London derby. Now, this is out of the Premier League's hands. This is a case of the unions and the rail companies agreeing to come to some kind of mutual benefit, or to postpone and reschedule the delay or the strike action for another day. But what I don't know, and I don't know if people in the comments back home have heard anything, is until what extent or what deadline do the Premier League give the National Rail Company to say, right, it's back up and running, or it's not, because they can't cancel it on the Friday because that's too short with the police and everything that goes into the security and everything, the players and their training, whatever. So I don't know. I mean, I would think if I was Premier League, I think you're looking at Wednesday latest, because Thursday's going to be a bit too late. You've only got one game to.
They're going to prepare one way or the other,
exactly.
Right? Like if it's a go ahead, there's a process involved.
Exactly. I mean, hopefully, a lot of time. I'd like to say a lot of times, but it's not a lot of times. These strike actions do resolve itself, and they do come to a. But sometimes it goes down to the 11th hour, and unlike with people going to work, and it's like, okay, we need to find another way to work. The Premier League can't just say, right, we'll hold on till the last second before it. So people in the comments, let me know if there's been any update on, or let us know if there's been any update.
Is the North London derby going to happen?
Well, at the moment, it's in grave danger.
Yeah,
in grave danger. But we shall have to wait and see. But let's pretend.
Let's talk about the filth. Let's talk about the game.
It is going ahead, and we're going to talk about this briefly, because obviously next week the show is going to be predominantly everything the filth.
It's like the night before. It's 7 a.m. 7 a.m. kickoff for us, or 7:30.
The one thing I do want to talk about, and I'd like to know people's thoughts on this, is obviously Hugo hasn't played for France. He's back with us, and there's a chance he could not play. Now, I know Fraser Forster is an adequate goalkeeper, or better than adequate. He's played in
good goalkeeper.
He's played in the old firm.
He also made at Southampton, Arsenal struggled against.
He was incredible. Always, but the one thing I hate, and this happened with Hugo Lloris with AVB, is I cannot think of a worse place to have your debut as a Tottenham Hotspur player. I cannot. I can't think of a better place. Because I'm going to flip it a bit. You flip it, go on.
I'm going to flip it because I think a guy like Fraser Forster, this guy's been around a long time. He's done a lot he's been in the Premier League a long time. He's a very astute keeper in a league that I think he understands. I think if you're going to bring him into a game, it should be meaningful. I think you put a player like Fraser Forster in this scenario, he's going to make it really, really, really difficult for Arsenal, period. I'm not saying that I would prefer him over Hugo Lloris. I would always think that that's a better choice. But I think if you're going to throw a keeper like him into a scenario, make it difficult, because he's going to throw down. I think mentality-wise, that suits him. I could be wrong, but I think that's the case.
Only thing I'll say to that, before I say that, I did say that we were a magic number of 18, which was Klinsmann, Defoe, Kane.
Yeah.
We're at a very, very magic number for me. We're at number 8. We're Gascoigne away from hitting 100 likes.
Get into it, guys.
We need 8. Getting back to Foster, the only other thing, I agree with everything you're saying, but the only other thing that worries me is obviously the goalkeeper. One of the most vital things is that understanding and relationship and communication with your central defenders.
Yeah.
And obviously they would have done it in training. They would have done it in training.
Sure. It doesn't always translate, which I understand.
That's don't get me wrong. Do I think? I mean, if we look at it, Galini, Hart, Blood, and so on.
He's the best number 2 we've had in a while.
Oh,
for sure,
that,
by far,
without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, I wouldn't care if it was the Etihad away, if it was Anfield away, if it was, or maybe not Stamford Bridge, but just this game. And the last time we did this with a goalkeeper where he made his first team debut was Hugo Lloris when we got battered 5-2.
Yeah.
And Hugo Lloris was a fantastic keeper when we signed him, has been fantastic. It's just this game. I can see what you're saying. What a way to come in. It's one of those where you could either be the hero or the villain.
Yeah, you either do something special or you're a fucking disaster.
Exactly.
But I think because of Fraser Forster's experience in the league and in his age, and I think from a leadership perspective, Forster, I think he has it in him to deal with that situation. I hope so. I mean, I hope that's the case. I hope that Hugo's fit enough. It could just be.
It could be
precautionary. Was fine. Yeah, it's not an issue, because I would prefer Hugo, because the saves that Hugo makes, I don't think any keeper at any level, other than the very highest of the best, make the saves that he makes to keep his teams in games. He has other issues with other parts of the game that he plays, but he is the best shot stopper in the world, I think.
Oh, he's
I don't think you can compete with the shit he does technically from a shot stopping perspective. He makes saves, you're just kind of going, what the fuck? How does a brain work that quickly?
Well,
right? It's incredible. So
I think we're going
Levels.
to people love Hugo. We all love Hugo, but I think people are going to learn when he does finally hang up his gloves, like United had when they lost Schmeichel and Van der Sar. And
He's irreplaceable.
Like when Seaman left Arsenal and it took him a while to find. Then you're going to see.
He's irreplaceable.
Then you're going to see. But the only other thing I want to
think about the amount of games we would have lost or drawn because of the saves he made, Spurs are mid-table.
I will tell you now, during the
he's huge.
AVB and Sherwood days, Hugo Lloris made at least one world-class save every single game. Whether we won the game or not, Brad. I wouldn't say one world-class save. He's still making saves, but the saves this man was making. But
I think we've gotten so used to it that it seems like it's not world-class anymore. But when you look at some of them, you're kind of going, how the fuck did he get his hand on that? That's nuts.
Maybe you got a point. So the only other thing I want to really talk about before we start getting two people.
We only got two people.
It's only two people. The link is in the description.
The link, man. Come on and chat with us, man.
So the only other thing is, do you start or your Conte? Are you starting 3-5-2 or are you starting 3-4-3?
I'm starting 3-5-2 every fucking time. For me, it's been blatantly obvious, and I don't understand Conte's insistence on the 3-4-3. As much as I obviously recognize that he's an incredible manager and he makes great decisions, the 3-5-2 is the most balanced side that we have. We've seen it against Liverpool last season when he first came in. When he did that, I was like, oh yeah, that makes complete sense. And then as soon as we did it against Leicester, it was like dominant control. We're going to kill you now. I think you do that against an Arsenal side who are very good. Let's be honest. I hate it. I hate to say it as much as you do. They're a really good side right now. They're very well organized. They have a very good sense of who they are and how they want to play. And it's really annoying, but it's effective. It's very effective. You need a system that's not only just counter it, but deter it from being functional. You add that extra midfielder. You put Basuma in a midfield with Højbjerg and Bentancur. There's no midfield in the fucking Premier League that's going to touch that midfield. I'm sorry. I recognize that there are midfields that are better technically when it comes to the levels of who they are.
Yep.
The City's midfield, sure, you could say they're, but you like in a Conte system in a 3-5-2 with Bentancur, Højbjerg, and fucking Basuma. I mean, give me a break. Like, who's going to touch that? Partey is potentially injured as well.
Shocking.
That midfield of Arsenal are going to not touch the ball.
So the reason I'm going 3-5-2, and it's the preferred, is every single time in this fixture, every single time, especially last season, we know it was Nuno, whatever, Arsenal flood the midfield and overrun us. Every single time. In this game specifically, we played, with Nuno, we played Højbjerg, Dele, and Ndombele, and Ndombele and Dele just went missing. And
they were useless.
But we get overrun. If you look at that game last season, if you look at when it was COVID and when Lamela scored the Rabona. From the very first minute, they were flooding the midfield and all over us.
And we need to control that moment.
All over us. And it's the same thing with Arsenal.
Does he do it? Does he do it for you?
Well, this is the thing. I think he plays 3-4-3, and then if needs to reverts back to 3-5-2 like he did with Leicester. But
you don't think he'll start with it?
No. But my concern with it being Arsenal is he had the chance to do it at Leicester and it was 2-2. If we play and put out the normal first half performances we put at the Emirates,
get smashed.
Then changing to that 3-5-2 might be damage limitation as opposed to, or try to claw back a draw
as opposed to control and dictating.
Exactly. So I think
I agree with you. 100%.
I want 3-5-2.
Me too.
But I think he's so stubborn with this and whatever. And this is, don't get me wrong, this is his default setting where he's, who are we to say?
He had a default setting of 3-5-2 at Inter, though. So it's not a scenario, I don't think, that he's unwilling to be moved or motivated to change. I think, and this is what I said earlier, I think there's what happened in this game against Leicester is he saw something in that 3-5-2 and he expressed it after the game. We had way more balance as soon as I did that. I'm hoping that idea that he's like, oh wow, we have way more balance in this scenario will contribute to his decision about what he's going to do in this game against Arsenal, because we need to have that balance. It's fine to have, oh great, because he said, he was like, oh, we have so much attacking talent, I want to use it as much as possible. Okay, great, use the attacking talent as much as possible, but wouldn't you rather control the game and then making sure that attacking talent has a platform to function? And that platform to function is a 3 in the mid, because they control the game, and then those 2 up front get the ball the way they want to get it and do the things they want to do. That's the thing that needs to happen. I love Conte, and I have no doubts in his ability and what he's doing. I'd be really disappointed if we don't play 3 in the midfield. Well, if we don't play a 3-5-2. I think I'd be super disappointed. I know he's going to struggle going like, who do I play in the front two? It doesn't matter. All 4 of them are going to kick ass. Own the game in that midfield, because that midfield will control Arsenal comfortably. If you got Basuma, Bentancur, and Højbjerg.
Yep.
Against who?
The only other thing, and then we are going to start bringing people on, is with what he did against Leicester, if we go 3-5-2, there's no other. You've seen how lacking we are offensively and the changes and whatever. Yeah. So if he takes off Basuma, you've got a Skip who hasn't really played that could come on. He hasn't got
the system, though.
Yeah, he knows the system, and he played 70 minutes the other day and apparently played very well, and thank God, because I love Skippy. No. But if he goes with that and it's not working, he's going to have to revert back to a 3 or whatever. Where at least,
he's going to have to revert back to a
at least if he's in
scenario.
The 3-4-3 and it's not working, he can say, right, I've got game changers on the bench. It's a bit difficult. But yeah, let's start bringing the guests on.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's time. Guys, we've only got 2 in the waiting for us. So, if you want to come on and hang out and chat, get in there and tell us we're wrong.
Who have we got on first?
The conversations are always good to do that. So I think we've got Hassan. Is it?
Yep.
Hassan first?
It's Hassan. We're continuing his 100% record streak. How you doing, Hassan?
Good. How are you guys?
Very, very, very good, sir. It's good to see you, mate. So, as you know, where do you want to go with this, buddy? It's your time. What do you want to start with?
Mm-hmm. Well, we've had the 2-week break, so maybe just a little reflection of the Leicester game, because that's really the last.
It's your time.
Yeah, I don't really care about international football, so that part.
Just a quick one with international football. Is Australia going to the World Cup?
I couldn't tell you. I honestly don't.
Oh, there you go. That shows how much. Okay, back over to you, Leicester.
Yeah. So, for Leicester, for the Leicester game, I thought it was a similar performance to what we've seen for a few games. I think in that first half, I think a lot of people wouldn't think that, because it was quite open from both ends in that first half. And I think that's why people are sort of pushing that aside. But I think at the first half, 2-2 was probably a fair result. It could have gone 3-2 either way. I reckon they had a lot of chances. And I think the reason I want to talk about the Leicester game is because when we switched to the 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, whatever you want to call it, I just think we had more control of the ball. I think we just had more control of the game. And look, Leicester were pushing for the win, so there's always going to be a lot more space. They were tired and all that. But I just think it allowed certain players like Bentancur to not have to worry so much defensively. And I think people, they don't like the idea of a 3-man midfield of Basuma, Højbjerg, and Bentancur, because they think all 3 of them are defensive midfielders. And I think for me, the only one who's a true defensive midfielder is Højbjerg for me. I think he's the one who's the most, and even he's done a lot like offensively this season. He's definitely improved going forward. But for me, Bentancur and Bissouma are more centre mid, like left centre mid, right centre mid. And I think the biggest thing that hit me when Bissouma was signed for us, and the biggest thing that I was so excited for, was the thing he did at Brighton in the midfield three. He'd pick up the ball from the defense and carry the ball up. Right, that was one of his biggest strengths. He likes to link. He likes to start attacks. Sometimes when Højbjerg wins the ball, his first thought is, okay, let me just lay it off to the defenders. Let me lay it off to the wing back. But with Bissouma, he's always turning, looking to see if he can push forward. So I think if you had a midfield three of those three, Højbjerg as the sole defensive midfielder and left centre mid, right centre mid of those two, Bissouma and Bentancur, I think you'd see a different team. And against Arsenal, which is what I'm trying to segue this to now, we're gonna need a three-man midfield, because you saw against Leicester. Leicester are woeful. Let's get that straight. They're last in the Premier League. Half of their team have given up. But in the midfield, in that first half, they had more control of the ball. I think it was 60% possession to 40% possession in that first half. So even a poor Leicester team with three-man midfield, it's just logic. If you have three midfielders against two, the second ball is always going to be won by the midfield with the three, unless you have two top class midfielders who just don't lose the ball, and we don't have that, unfortunately. So against a possession-based team like Arsenal, who, let's be real, are playing really well, if they have the ball, they will score, because our defense was rocky against Leicester, and against Arsenal, who have Jesus, Martinelli, and even Saka, who isn't playing well, but form goes out the window in North London derbies. If we don't have the ball, they will score. So I think we have to start with a 3-5-2, which is what everyone's saying. I don't think Conte will start with a 3-5-2, because that's Conte, but
stubborn bastard.
You come up with a point, and this is the thing. Right now for Arsenal, we automatically assume, obviously, because Skippy isn't fit or hasn't had any minutes, that it would be a midfield three of Pierre, Bentancur, and Bissouma. But do you, if the front three, if the midfield was to be a permanent three, do you see that as the best combination, or do you see a Skippy in there for someone, or what would be your three that you think for the style of football you'd want to see best suited?
Great question.
Well, the problem is, like, people, they were crying out for number 10, right? Let's get Maddison in, right? And I'm not saying Maddison's a bad player by all means, but Conte doesn't use a natural number 10. He doesn't use a natural number 10. Yeah, his midfielders are, he has one holding mid, and he has a left centre mid and a right centre mid. Christian Eriksen, his predominantly in a Spurs shirt, played that sort of number 10 role, right? And when he went to Inter Milan, he didn't get in that team for a good couple months. Because
it took him a while to convince Conte, didn't it?
Yeah, because he's not used to playing left centre mid, right centre mid. But you can see now in that United team, even when he was at Brentford, playing that deep line playmaker, he's got used to that role.
It suits him,
Yeah, which is one of the reasons I was surprised we didn't go for him. But so a number 10 wouldn't work for us, right? People are saying Kulusevski number 10. I was one of those people, but upon research, he doesn't play. He doesn't have two midfielders and then one up top behind the front line. He has one and then
if there's the three is really compact, right? Like, you're not looking at a three that is specifically going to be like a diamond, like where you play two defensive sort of rotating kind of box to box midfielders, and then a 10 sort of at the top of that diamond that's going to create, right? Like, it's a bit different than that.
Yeah, so that's why I think the best midfield three are those three. I would put Højbjerg as that holding mid, and then left centre mid, because I was looking at the Uruguay lineup today, and Bentancur actually played in midfield three as a left centre mid, and apparently he was really good today. Like, I saw on Twitter some people saying that he was probably the best in that team. So in a midfield three, he can play at that left centre mid and put Bissouma as right centre mid. And there is some progression in that team. Bissouma is not just purely a defensive midfielder. He can push the ball up.
He's actually quite good at going forward, just with a bit of freedom, right? Like, he just needs to be given the instructions, right?
Yeah, like I mean, like Conte was saying that he's impressed with him on the ball, but he has to be more sure defensively, right? In a midfield three, he wouldn't have that worry as much because he can push up and the Højbjerg can fill his spot, and then you can go to like a 3-4-3. Well, you know what, you can change the formation. So yeah, 3-3-5-2 with those three would be the way to go. People are saying we don't have enough midfielders for that, but you can rotate them around. I mean,
I think it's
Højbjerg
kind of
and
the
Bentancur
opposite.
played
I think we have more. I
every
think we have more midfielders than we've had in a long
yeah
time that can play that way. As soon
yeah
as Basuma came on against Leicester in that game where we needed to regain control of the game and we needed a third midfielder, Basuma came on, and with Højbjerg and Bentancur and Basuma coming on, it was just dominance. Could we not just start games that way and say we're going to control the game? Fuck you guys. Like that. For me, that's kind of why I'm surprised that Conte hasn't done that yet and hasn't realized that, and maybe he's starting to, that like this gives my team and my players the best balance.
It's difficult because what we're talking about is possession-based football, right? We want the possession. Conte doesn't play possession-based football, right? It's not a new thing at Tottenham that, oh no, we don't have enough possession. What's going on?
It's true, right? It's so true. It's such a difficult balance.
At Inter Milan, dude, there are some games. I was watching one stream a couple of days ago, and people bring up his Inter Milan games, and some games he had like 35-40% possession, right? But they'd be winning 3-4-0, right? Because they had really strong midfielders.
So it didn't matter.
It didn't matter if they didn't have midfield, because the moment they got the midfield, it's center back, midfield, wing back, forward, score, right? It's like that. We don't have those players, so when we are out of possession and we gain the ball, it's like you want to kill yourself because it's that boring, right?
Yeah.
So if we had got better players, I don't think we'd have this conversation. We need the 3-5-2. We need the 3-5-2 because we'd hit teams on the counter so quickly.
Quick question for you: do you think it's better players or just the players that we already have? Because I think the players that we have are quite good, understanding the system that he wants to play and be not only being able to play the 3-4-3 system, being able to revert or shift to a 3-5-2 when it's necessary, and being able to do that dynamically without getting in the way of the performance. I think the thing about Conte is, and what he wants from his players is them to be so good enough and understanding enough of what his systems are to be able to transition between, all right now we're playing a 3-4-3 and this is what I want you guys to do, and here's why. Here's what the press looks like in that scenario. Here's how you sort of respond to what the other team's tactics are going to be, and here's what I want you to do. And then if that fails or if it's not working, here's what I want you to do in that scenario, and the players being able to go intellectually, because it is a thought game. Like you have to be able to think about what you're doing football wise for them to kind of go, okay, shit, we're going to do this now. And then that completely changes the game, but they're still very comfortable with making that change. I think that's something that Conte's a really smart guy. I think we've seen that tactically speaking in this Spurs side. It's taking them longer, maybe a bit longer than we'd hope to adjust to those different tactics and being able to understand that there's a slight difference in how you're going to approach this situation to that situation and why that's important. I don't know what you think about it. I've been thinking about that a lot lately.
That was a long question.
It wasn't a question. It was a comment. It's a discussion about how we play and like how do we adjust.
Answer that, Sam. Then I've got a question for you.
It's basically it's whether it's the players or it's the players' quality, or whether it's the players trying to like learn the system to the best of his ability. Yeah. I think it's a bit of both. I mean, if you compare, his Inter Milan team to our current team, you would see deficiencies in our team compared to theirs. I mean, their back three was Bastoni, De Vrij, and Skriniar, right? And we've got Longley, Dyer, and Romero, right? So there are, and they had proper wing backs. Perisic good, but they had a right wing back who could move the ball forward in Hakimi, right? So there are player deficiencies, and also I would say some players learning the system properly. Like I think if Basuma was in the midfield, it would probably be better, but clearly he's not ready tactically. We have a right wing back who I think would be the perfect right wing back, but Conte doesn't think he exists.
He's not there yet.
We've
been struggling with that one quite a bit. It's a difficult one.
That's the exact question I was going to ask you.
I've gone round and round on the Jed Spence thing, trying to figure out, what's the thing. And part of me is saying, if an experienced midfielder who's had 3 years in the Premier League, who's done well in the Premier League, still hasn't had a start, what's a player who's come up from the Championship gonna do, right? It's like Bissouma's taken this long to start. There's no way Spence is gonna start, right? No matter how.
Yeah. It's not easy to come into a Conte team.
It's not. But my only thing, look, I don't mind if it takes him until December to start. If Conte in his press conference is like, oh yeah, on Spence, he's struggling, but he's improving. But I think the press conference before Leicester, he was like, oh yeah, Richie, Paris.
He didn't mention Spence in anything. Yeah.
Exactly. He's like, weird. They came into idea quickly. Bissouma's the only one struggling tactically. He made a very big thing on only one tactically. So Spence just when
I think a lot of that. Sorry to interrupt, but I think a lot of that is a message to Levy and
How long did we go that much?
I know, but you got. He's basically saying you guys decided to go and get a player that I didn't necessarily agree with. I don't think he's a bad player, but just so you know, you didn't ask me, and he's not getting the fucking look in until I'm ready to look in. I feel like there's something.
What I want to ask you is, man. What I want to ask you, your Conte, not your opinion. What do you think, Conte? For both formations, we go into the filth. If it's 3-4-3, who does he play at right back? And if it's 3-5-2, who does he play at right wing back?
That's a good question. I like that. Good question.
3-4-3. Look, people are going to scream for Perisic to start left wing back, and I think in a 3-5-2 you can put him there, but in a 3-4-3. And people are gonna burn me for this. I would put.
No. I think honestly, I think you're fucking spot on. I was gonna say.
I would put because.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Perisic has been amazing going forward. Set pieces, corners.
He's a forward,
but defensively, he's a left winger, trying to be a fullback, but he's not a fullback, so he can't defend as well, right? And that's fine.
If the team is far enough forward and they're always scoring, it's fine.
Yeah.
Because he can get away with the things because it doesn't matter. But if he has to defend, he's a bit fucked.
and against quick players, whether you like him or not, he is 33 and his pace isn't probably what it used to be 3-4 years ago. So against Bukayo Saka, even though he's not playing well, he will skin him. And that leaves Longley exposed. And I don't want that. So in a 3-4-3, I would put Sessegnon partly just because he would be able to catch up with him. In a 3-5-2, I think because we have that third midfielder, you can risk putting Perisic up there. And I think even Kulusevski at right wing back in a 3-5-2. But in a 3-4-3, I think it would be Sessegnon and I think Doherty, just because Conte was saying after international break he'll have.
I think it should be Doherty based on what we know about him.
I disagree. If he goes 3-5-2, for me, I want to see Kulusevski because the front two, regardless, and I
right wing back.
If we go 3-5-2, then you know the two up top. You know the two up top is Son and Kane. And do you know what? And I'll say it as well. If we play 3-5-2 and Son still hadn't scored his hat trick against Leicester, if we're playing two up top, there is no other format. There is no other combination I will ever say at Tottenham rather than Son and Kane, because when they get up top and they can do what they do, then
it's ridiculous.
It is their partnerships. So if it was 3-5-2,
get them closer together.
If it was 3-5-2, I personally would go Kulusevski.
I would put Perisic in 3-5-2.
I think Conte would do what you did, Hassan. So also the awards that we were doing, or the gradings. Any of those particularly stood out for you? You want to talk about?
I think standout player. I saw people, ripping Højbjerg up for some of his performances, and fair enough, because there are some performances where I want to rip my hair out, But I think he gets. The problem with him is he'll have an amazing game for 90% of the game, and then for 10%, he'll make a pass close to our box that's wrong, or he'll lose the ball in a tight situation, and people are like, oh my God, he's done this, he's done that. But I think on the ball, he has improved immensely. I think on the ball, he has improved a lot. He's not the most technically gifted. We all know that. He said that himself. But I just think he has done a lot of improvement. In a midfield too, I think in a midfield 3, you'll see a lot more of him doing well. I think it takes that defensive burden off Bentancur and Højbjerg in a midfield 3. So I think Højbjerg has been my standout player of the season so far. And that's one.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just want to say one more thing, because I know
cool, buddy.
people want to come on. The Conte rumors have sprung up again.
They're nonsense.
Yeah. And I see a lot of people on Twitter, on Instagram. He's going to leave. It's certain. And look, maybe he will be. Maybe he will leave. We don't know. But the same thing happened with PSG. Pochettino was not doing good with PSG. People weren't liking him. Same with Allegri. People weren't liking him. So who's a manager who has played for Juventus, has loved Juventus? Antonio Conte, right?
Yep.
And there was an interview where, he was asked, would you like to return to Juventus? And he said, yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe in 3-4 years, he'll return to Juventus. I'm sure at some stage he'll return to Juventus.
Who didn't fuck him over completely.
Exactly. And I think, and people are like, oh, he hasn't signed a new contract yet. If you're Antonio Conte and you have a January transfer window coming up, which will determine how you go for the major part of the season, are you willing to pen a 3-year contract? Are you willing to do that? Right? People are like, oh, Harry Kane hasn't signed a new contract. If you're Harry Kane, would you want, some random manager coming in next year? No, it's all a domino effect. If Conte signs a new contract,
of course,
Kane will sign a new contract. If Kane signs a new contract, and it goes on. And
it's escalation.
It's on a knife's end at the moment. All the pressure is on the big bold man up top, right? Because he has to
favorite human on the planet.
Yeah, he has to. And you're right with the Jed Spence thing, right? He's saying, I didn't want this particular player. I'll take him, but he's not a player I wanted. So if you have to bring me players that I want, if you want me to play them and have success. So that's sort of, holding out on a contract, these Juventus rumors. Conte will love that, because now he's like, if you don't back me in January, if you don't give me 2-3 proper players, I'm out of here. I have plenty of suitors who love to have me. I don't need to be here if I don't want to be. It
suits Conte to have these shitty rumors about him leaving, even though they're mostly not true. Because he gets an opportunity to sort of say, "Hey, well, look at that." Even if none of it's true, he's kind of going. And so Levy is in a scenario in January, like, I got to back this guy or I'm fucked.
Yeah, and if he doesn't, then
you bring up. You said it one way. I actually think it's more important. I don't think it's if Kane signs, Conte signs.
At least the other way around.
I think it's Conte signs Kane. Yeah.
The only reason I say it that way, reason I say it that way is if you look at it, how many times we know what happened with the Man City saga? How many times has Kane heard the talk and then it fall flat on his face? So I honestly think
he's been promised a lot.
Kane always delivers. Like, you want me to be Golden Boot winner? You want me to, or be top goal scorer of the club? You want me to hit 20?
He hits his targets. He
does it. But do you know what? It could be completely the other way. But the way I look at it, the way I see it, I think in that way, either Kane signs, Conte signs, or Conte signs, Kane signs. I think it's the latter. What about yourself?
Conte signs. Yeah, I think it's Conte signs, Kane signs. Because look, Kane clearly wanted to go to Man City. He doesn't hide that. We all know that. When Nuno came, clearly didn't have a good relationship with him. Didn't really do much. And when Conte came in, you could see everyone's energy lifted up. And when you're a player and you're under a manager who's won so much, who's, whether we like it, whether we like the performances or not, is doing well in the league, there's hope. You're going to try harder, right? You're going to have that belief. And if that man signs a contract, he doesn't win straight away in his first season. With Inter Milan in his first season, they finished top 4.
The process, isn't it?
Yeah, they finished top 4 in the first season. Next season, they, I think, lost to Juventus by 1 or 2 points, and then the season after they won the league. And I'm not saying that's going to happen with us, but I'm saying it's not. You're not going to expect him to win, straight away, right? That Chelsea thing is not going to happen with us. So for me, January is going to be important. If we get 2-3 good players that improve the squad, he gets more attacking options, maybe a right wing back he trusts. Then I think he'd be like, okay, I've had 3 decent windows, and I can see that there is investment, because people have this perception that Conte stays 3 years and he's like, I'm out. That's
all bullshit,
the time and stuff. But apart from
Bullshit.
Chelsea, it's all been financial. I mean, Inter Milan,
Correct.
the owners had that COVID issue where they had to sell. Like, why did Hakimi and Lukaku get sold? Because they didn't have funds, right? And
There's no money for them. Yeah.
If Daniel Levy told Conte, oh, sorry, I'm going to have to sell Harry Kane, I'm going to have to sell this person, he's not going to be like, oh yeah, I'll chill about. Juventus, he had that falling out because he didn't get back. It's only Chelsea where he got sacked, right? Do you think that Guardiola would stay at Man City if he got, I don't know, 30 million each summer? Probably not, right?
That's the thing.
We don't know. If Conte went to Man City, maybe he'd still be there. We don't know. So if he gets that constant backing, which will we get under this ownership? Who knows? Maybe out of fear, we might. Maybe out of fear, that's the only thing we can go for.
It's a hope. It's a hope, son. It's a hope.
But
yeah.
It's always been a pleasure, my brother. And we're back again next week for the big filth orientated preview and everything. And we look forward to you keeping your 100% record going.
Of course. Thank you for having me, guys.
Take care, brother. And I'll reach out to you shortly about when we're going live on our channel again.
Exactly. Coming Spurs.
See you later, buddy.
Thanks for your time.
So just to let people know before we bring on the next guest, we are Hugo Lloris away from 100. We are 1 like away from 100 and always hitting 100 when we're live. So we just need one of you to hit a like. And like I said, whilst I'm talking about likes, if you see in the description, there is a link for our hyperlink for our channel, which is Tottenham on Tour. We're trying to hit 5,000. You don't even have to leave the stream to drop a subscribe. If you could do, fantastic. But most importantly, let's get that 1 like to hit the century. And who have we got next? We got 2 people now. So we're gonna
go with the one and only.
It's me. It's KPV. What's up, my brother?
What's up, boys?
There he is. How are you? Happy birthday, my man. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Cheers. Thanks for the birthday messages, everyone.
Always, brother. So what do you want to talk about, Mr. KPV?
I was actually going to talk about your boy, Jonathan David, Brian, because he's the one I'd actually love us to sign. He scored for Canada, if I'm right, tonight.
We did. Brilliant. Would be a wonderful addition to Tottenham, no?
Yeah.
I still say, did you actually watch the Canada game, KPV? Because there's a player that I keep going on about, and his name's Tajon Buchanan.
He's a great player. Buchanan's good.
He is the one out of the whole Canada team. I know Jonathan David is the star.
No, Jonathan David is not the star.
Oh no, Alphonso Davies is.
Davies is
but Tajon Buchanan is superb.
He's a good player.
But yeah, England, Kyle. England aren't doing good. I've seen you've been on my Twitter. You've been on Facebook and everything.
Did you watch that shit show today, KBV? Did you watch the England be terrible as they were?
Yeah, and I watched Mr. Bonucci get another assist, like against us. He scored in a Euros final last summer, and he gets an assist. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but Southgate out.
There you go. I mean, from what I understand, KPV, and like I said, I didn't get to see any of the game. Italy, compared to their Euro 2000 or 2022 or 2021, whatever the bloody hell it was, I forgot now. Their team was so changed; it weren't really the first team. And we literally had first teamers out there. Team. Was it really men against boys, or was it just we were just that bad?
I think it's men against boys. I think because like the starters, Gareth made a big mistake leaving out Ivan Toney. Like, you don't leave a guy who's been on form for Brentford. He just named him in the squad and then you leave him out. Honestly, what is wrong with you kids? Leaving out Ivan Toney for this game, who would have scored in this game. You don't leave him out. Seriously.
It's an odd decision, KPV. So, from your perspective, are you Gareth Southgate out?
Yep, I am. And the fans want him out, and they want Pochettino because Super Ollie T
That was
actually
my
wants
next question. Are you Pochettino in?
Yes, I am, mate, because he knows English game well. He would, as you said, he would need time with the players to get to know them. So,
Is there enough time, KPV, before the World Cup for Pochettino to come in and make a difference, and for this England team to reach their potential? Because this is an England team with the best players in every squad in England across the board. Why are they not reaching their potential? What could Pochettino do?
I think he could maybe start a better formation 3-5-2. The one Southgate went with was a 3-4-3. That's not how you beat probably the European champions. You probably start a 3-5-2 because that's what he would do better than Gareth Southgate. So I'd start a 3-5-2 in the World Cup.
See, KB, the thing I will say, that I think the one thing you're guaranteed with Poch, though, is 4-2-3-1, isn't it? It's pretty much like we talk about Conte's
probably
Conte's default setting be 3-4-3. I think Poch would go with the 4-2-3-1, but there could not possibly be a worse game for Southgate than Germany at home, is there, KPV?
No, because he beat them in the Euros last summer. Kane and Sterling, I believe. Yeah, we've already beaten the Germans. So we're their bogey team. They were a bogey team, but it's the other way round. We're their bogey team. The girls done it. Can we do it? We've already beaten them.
Yep, and you know what? There's something I do want to talk about, because I saw you show it on WeAreTottenhamTV with your birthday gift. Let's talk about who did you get on the back of your shirt? Expressions will be happy. We got Mr. Sonaldo, didn't we? So, what's your thoughts on Sonny and taking Kane off free kicks? And do you think he will?
Yes, he will, because he's now scored three free kicks in 5 games for South Korea, and so Kane, sorry mate, but your time with free kicks is up, mate. You're no good.
You should never have a time.
Yeah, he should not take him. It should be Ronaldo, the Korean Messi. That's what he is.
Sun Hugh Messi, as expression calls them. So KPV, moving on to the little review and awards kind of thing we're doing. Which ones do you want to talk about? Out of all the ones we did, best goal, biggest disappointment, and all that. Well, which ones do you want to talk about?
I'd probably say standout, and I've got to go for Kulusevski. For me, there's no one better.
In there, KPV.
There's no one better than this guy.
He's he's a machine at the moment.
Yeah, he's a machine. And when he came, I think he made his debut against Southampton coming off the bench, and we lost, unfortunately. But yeah, since his debut, no one's got more assists or goal contributions than him. I've got that shirt with him, and maybe people should have him as their wallpaper on their phone.
Not a bad idea, but I'll tell you what you can't take away from him is his crosses, like we said, for the Sessegnon goal and then the Kane goal. They are like heat-seeking missiles that just literally fizz in and find their target every single time. Right, KBV?
Yep, and let's hope he can do that on Saturday against Arsenal next weekend. And I just don't want that game getting postponed, because this is the game I look forward to. This is the game that means everything to the players and the supporters. This is the game you do not want postponed, because I do not want it postponed. If it does, then what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Just sit and do nothing? No thanks.
Yeah, well,
we're gonna be pissed off, KPV. We're gonna be fucking pissed off.
It's not even that, KPV. If it is postponed, it's more the point of where the hell are they going to fit it in? Is it going to have to wait till
How
after
do they
the World
reschedule
Cup?
that shit?
And the thing is, we're meant to be playing them in January at home. So do they do?
You know what this is? This is another scenario where Arsenal are finding a way to avoid the North London derby. They did it last season. They're a bunch of pricks. They don't want to they don't want to play us when it matters. So like, oh, now we got this. Now they got another excuse.
Yeah, as much as I'd love to say it's their fault.
Oh, it's fucking their fault.
But it's
their fault.
Yeah, I mean, with what you said, KV, these games are the ones I look forward to the most. But the ones at the Emirates,
they're so difficult.
The ones at White Hart Lane or the new Tottenham Hotspur
We're so
Stadium,
shit at the Emirates.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When I wake up, I'm buzzing like
annoying.
it's Christmas Day. It's everything. I am so pumped and happy and waiting. This one at the Emirates, it's excitement.
It's the most painful derby, painful game. It sucks balls to play this game.
It's like going to Stamford Bridge, but it's the filth.
I hate it. No, it's even worse.
No, that's what
Stamford Bridge is at least like you expect like a good game. This is a game where I just like want to poke my eyes out.
Yeah.
I hate this game. I hate it. I hate it, KPV.
KPV, what's it saying? What's it saying at the moment? What you're back home? What's it saying at the moment, or looking like with the strikes? Is there any breakthrough at the moment?
The train's going to run, KPV.
I don't think so. I don't think there's any strikes going on. Like, I don't think there is. But no, not that I'm aware of. There isn't any strikes going on here.
Oh, there's definitely a strike,
they're
KPV.
Coming, buddy.
There's definitely, at the moment, there is definitely a strike. But at the moment,
KPV, keep an eye on it for us, right? So message us and our Twitter and everything else. Keep an eye on the strikes because the North London derby might not happen because of it. It sucks balls, but it's a potential scenario.
Yeah, and the last time he won at the Emirates was under Harry Redknapp, and the goal scorers were Van der Vaart,
Gareth Bale, and Yunus Kabul.
Yeah, like Bale got the first one, then it was Van der Vaart and Kabul, and so. Yeah, what formation did Harry Redknapp play?
Who's going to score against Arsenal in this North London derby? Give us the score line and the goal scorers.
3-2 Tottenham, as it was in 2010. Like, obviously, it's got to be Kane and Son, and I'm going for Eric Dyer again because Eric Dyer he scored in this. Yeah, Dyer scored in this game when we lost 4-2. So it's got to be those three. So they're the three I pick. But you never know. It could be Kulu. Yeah, Kulu's not lost the North London derby.
Kulu's going to insist on every one of those goals.
Maybe. KV, I've got one final question. I've got one final question for you.
KV was like, that's a great one.
I've got one final question for you, brother. And I sent a WhatsApp to Ben and he hasn't got back to me. Who won your game of FIFA?
He did, the devil, because he cheated. And the worst thing is he mentioned the Judas on my birthday, which I do not want to hear. And he mentioned it. Honestly, stop mentioning him.
Yeah,
no one likes him.
He should never, ever be mentioned. Well, KPV, thank you for staying up so late, as always, and joining us.
Man. You're brilliant. We love you, man.
I will speak to you during the week, and we'll see you on the Late Late Show, where all roads lead to the filth.
Yeah, and give Ben a telling off for mentioning that guy's name, because I don't want to hear it.
When I speak to him tomorrow, I will do, brother. Everyone give KPV some big up and happy birthday, brother.
Cheers, buddy. Appreciate you being here, mate. Have a good one.
See you later, buddy. So just before we bring on the last guest, I just want to say we have smashed the 100. So everyone,
people.
Thank you very much, everyone in the We Are Tottenham TV army. Obliterated it. I think the last time I checked it was at like 113, 115. So we're doing it, and thank you so much. And we have one more guest, and it's a brother of ours and someone I love dearly. So let's bring on. Oh, it's not Bobby K.
No.
I thought it was Bobby K. Bloody hell, I'm going back.
We got a newbie here.
We got a newbie, fantastic. What's the name?
Gabby at Earth of Spurs.
There we go. Gabby at Earth of Spurs. I thought you were Bobby K. That shows how bad my glasses are in the background. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I just woke up. I'm living in Korea, so yeah.
Oh, this is what this fucking show is about. Is giving
Yeah.
you guys an opportunity to have a chat, like whether you just woke up or this is brilliant. Happy to have you here, mate. What's your name? Is Gabby?
Yeah, just call me Gabby. It's fine.
So, what do you want to talk about, Gabby, my man?
Tell us, yeah.
Oh man, where do we start? Like, do you want to start with England or Tottenham? Because
wherever you want to go, this is your time.
Is your moment. So you tell us. Fucking England sucks, but
well, I guess we could start with Southgate. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. Southgate. I mean, I was looking just now. Like, how did he even become the England manager? That was my
circumstance. It's all circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, okay, he became the Middlesbrough manager when he was the captain without even having his coaching badges.
Yep.
And then he became the England under-21 manager. I don't know how. And when, without necessarily winning anything, they got to the semi-finals of a competition in the under-21s. But like, it was clear to me, if not the World Cup where we lose to Croatia with having played Kyle Walker, centre back, it's clear to me that he loves right back like a lot, and B, I don't know what it is, like he's a very defensive minded manager, and our team has so many talented players, like it's ridiculous, which you can't really see it much, but yeah.
You know what it is, Gabby? With Southgate, like I said at the beginning of the show, Spain did this when they had their golden generation, when they won the World Cup, the Euros, or World Cup, whatever it was. They had the manager that was with the under-21s that had seen them come up and then led them to glory because he knew them. France have done that with their... So I can see the theory behind it in saying, do you know what? This has worked. He's worked with the youngsters, he knows them, whatever, and that's what did it. And then obviously it was kind of a stopgap for the Euro World Cup and see how we do. No one in our wildest dreams thought we were getting to the semi-final. No one.
He overperformed.
Exactly, and then we got to the finals.
Arguably because of the players he had.
Yeah, but also at the Euros, like what normally happens when it's home country advantage.
Yeah,
it always has a huge thing. But you would have think from a semi-final, a final, he would have fire in his belly to go that extra step, and literally, he seems to have lost. I don't want to call it a spark.
He's lost the plot.
He's lost his mojo, I would say.
Yeah, I think sorry to interrupt, but I think just to add to this, I think the thing that made Southgate great was that he brought everybody in, and then he created something that everybody could buy into. That thing that everybody bought into doesn't exist anymore. It's you did all those things, you got pretty close, but you didn't quite get there. So if you're in that scenario as a manager that he's in, you have to do something special to respond to your failure. What he's responding to his failure is that he's confused, and that you can see that in the way the team plays. You can see that in the way his selections, putting fucking Saka as a left wing. What are you doing, dude? He's lost the plot. He's lost the thing that made him good at what he was doing, and that means that he will. I think, considering who he is as a human, he will not get there again. And England need a new manager.
So, Gary, I'll say this, then we'll.
Sorry, I had to get that.
Then we'll move on to Spurs. If Southgate stays, and if Southgate takes us to the World Cup, in all seriousness, what do you see us achieving, or where do you see us being eliminated?
So the thing is, I'll add on to what Brian said. Yeah. He said how he's lost the plot. One reason why we did so well in the World Cup, which we never did before, was he united the players. None of this. I play for Arsenal, I play for Man United.
You got the singing on the same hymn sheet.
Great point.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone's friends, and I was thinking about this last night. I didn't really like how there were Arsenal fans who didn't celebrate when Kane scored for England in the Euros or whatever. Like that's BS, when you play for England, like everyone has to come together, and that's including fans. Like none of this, like forget the club for just one summer or winter in this case. But
for tournaments, that's what you do. You kind of go, you know what? Club football goes out of the window for a bit because we're all on the same page. Let's get the best out of the country, out of the team that is representing the country.
yeah, we're like fighting for the country. Like you don't go to war and be like, oh, you're from Manchester. Oh no.
Fuck you and your stupid accent.
Yeah, I mean the only thing I'll say with that,
So
Gavin, the only thing I'll say with that as well is
It's absurd.
when it comes to penalties, I get so nervous when a Spurs player takes it that he's not the one that misses. Obviously, if it's, I don't want any player. Even when Saka missed that penalty, I was so upset for him. But I wasn't like, oh, thankfully it happened to an Arsenal player. I was like, thank God it wasn't a Spurs player. That's the only
because it
time.
ends up being pretty difficult.
Yeah, that's the only time. But we were talking. Sorry, you were going on, Gabby, and you were going to answer
Gabby, keep going. Yeah,
about where you think we go.
Was I gonna answer? Like that's the thing. I can't. Based on, I mean, like I saw in the Euros. Yes, we got to the final, but we were lucky to get to the final. Like Grealish and Foden, they were players that were very on form in that going into the Euros. They barely played, and yeah, like I think like we struggled to get to the final, and we needed luck against Denmark. Like I feel sorry for Denmark, and they probably hate us.
Can I quickly interrupt you? Can I quickly interrupt you, and I'll do it quickly? It doesn't winning a tournament mean you get lucky generally? Because tournaments require luck, I think. Anyway,
we didn't win it. Like if we won it, then it's like yeah, but like
I think you need luck to win a tournament.
Yeah, we do, but like you can't have luck winning every tournament, and that will bring me on to the next thing I want to say about Spurs. So sorry, I'll answer the World Cup thing.
Keep going. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, it's completely fine. The World Cup, I just woke up as well, so if you interrupt me, it's good because my brain needs stimulation. The World Cup, the World Cup, I would say actually another huge factor is we were on the right side of that tournament tree. Like we avoided facing Belgium, Brazil, and all of these teams.
It's cushy.
That's also another reason why we played. Like we had to go to penalties against Colombia, and Sweden was all right, but Croatia, who you should also be beating if you want to win the World Cup, we didn't win at all. So I think this time we aren't going to be able to avoid those teams, and there's teams like France, Argentina, Brazil, Belgium. Like
good team.
We're not going to avoid them, and I think we might. Well, I haven't seen the tournament yet, but yeah, I think we won't be reaching the semi-final, let alone the final. But obviously, like if we have
struggle to get out of the group.
Yeah, out of the group. Well, we couldn't even get a win in so far in this Nations League.
150 minutes without a goal.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not going to blame Harry. I'm not going to blame Harry Kane for that. Like the team selections have been quite awkward.
The system is flawed. It's a bad system with the players that Southgate has a shit ton of players that are very good going forward, and he's playing a system that is very reserved when it comes to like using those types of players. So, the thing about that's bad about England is the defense. Our defense is not great. Eric Dyer and Harry Maguire are our best fucking players in the defense. Don't rely on that as your team. Like if you're going to rely on something for your team, rely on the quality that you have going forward. Be a progressive team. Be a team that is really aggressive and it dominates teams and like makes them uncomfortable and scores a bunch of goals. That's not who England are. You have this manager who's really reserved and he's making really bad decisions, and England are going to suffer for it. Sorry, that was me ranting again. I apologize. Ireland, shut up.
No, guys, honestly, anytime. The defenders are not going to win us matches. And like we have so many match winners in that squad. It's actually insane. But yeah, like there's no system to use that to our advantage. And there was something I was gonna say. Don't remember if it was about England or Spurs, but you know what? Let's move on to Spurs
Let's get into
before.
Spurs, man. Let's get into Spurs. What are your thoughts on the stuff we talked about earlier? We're talking about best performance. You know.
Ah, yes.
What do you, any of the stuff we talked about earlier? What are your thoughts? Give us that.
Earlier. Okay. I actually literally like as soon as I woke up, I saw. Oh, finally, I can get on this channel because it's always like 2 a.m. so I can't go. So I just quickly logged in. I didn't see your things, but I quickly checked while you were talking to KPV. Happy birthday, KPV. And I just saw the biggest disappointment, and
I love it. The first fan goes like, "That's the only thing they remember."
So there you go. What's your biggest disappointment, Gabby?
Well, on my channel, like every single week, I kind of, well, at first I had a proper rant, but now I try not to. It's just Jed Spence, like and Emerson Royale. I always say Romero. Emerson Royale.
Same. I do the same.
Okay, it's not just me. I just feel like yes, he has energy. Yes, he's a nice guy, but he does not like his shooting, which is important for a Conte right wing back. His shooting is terrible, and he keeps getting in great positions. But like his heading, his shooting, he's played like more than 40 games for us. He scored like 1 goal, and that was like a kind of like dodgy goal in the way he shot. But yeah, like I just don't think he's good enough in crossing wise and shooting wise. And Jed Spence, like whether or not he plays for us, I hate seeing someone who's so good rot on the bench. Like that's sad to see. And I wish. I heard that when he joined us, he wanted first team football, and that's why he didn't want to join us and then go on loan to Nottingham Forest. But like, I kind of wish he did that. And Doherty, he's injured.
Gabby, what do you think that's going to happen with him? Because it's a frustrating thing. I agree with you. I want to see Conte give him an opportunity. Is he going to? Do you think? I saw something in the news today where it was he wouldn't have joined Spurs if Conte wasn't the manager, and I was kind of like, what? Like it's just there's this weird sort of lack of understanding about what he brings to the team and his role and his relationship with Conte. It's odd. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I'm baffled by it. Anyway, I would love some insight because I'm annoyed. I'm like, come on.
Give your insight, Gabby, then I'll give mine. And let's see if we combine.
I'll give my insight. I believe he was brought in because of Conte, because he is a Conte signing. Like he plays in that system. And like I remember like Martinelli for Arsenal, he said Spence is one of the hardest defenders he has faced because he's so strong and so quick. And I was like, yeah. And he's joining Spurs now, yes. And we haven't really seen him. But even when he came on against Forest, like you saw him like run the length of the field and he got into a good position. Like you can see that many a time. And I think those chances that he had against that Emerson Royale had against Sporting Lisbon, Spence would have at least finished one of those. So yeah. Sorry, I've got an announcement here. It's like free and stuff.
No. I'll tell you where I'm feeling with Spence. I think because of this bloody World Cup and the Carabao Cup not starting until November, has had a huge problem with that. I think you would have seen him without a doubt start Carabao Cup, and we would have played around in September, I think around in October, November. So he would have been able to get his teeth into Conte's system. But I also think when the team and we break up for the World Cup, so many players are obviously going, but there's going to be players there that are staying. And I think that month when he'll get to work with a Basuma, a Decky, and a Jed Spence, a lot more close, like hands-on, and pay a lot more attention to him. Then when we come back, please God, we beat Forest in the Carabao, there's more Carabao. Then the FA Cup comes in. Then obviously, if we're please God to get through the Champions League knockout stages, he's going to want to rotate. So I literally think He'll play against Forest, against his old team. He may have the odd, like he did against Forest away, come on for the odd minutes there. But I think after Christmas and after after the World Cup and we resume, I think if he gets his chance in a Carabao Cup game and he takes it and has it, like you said, against Arsenal, he was outstanding. If he does that, then I think he takes his chance. That's it, and off we go. That's what my personal feeling is with Spence, because, like you said, he is 100% has all the attributes for Conte, but Conte obviously wanted a different player.
Conte wanted an experienced player. He's getting with this player a player that arguably fits his system completely, but isn't experienced so that he can rely on him, because he has to teach him all the stuff, and he's like young, so he's not necessarily going to get it right away. But I like that about him. I think for me, and I hope that Conte sees it though that way. And I'm guessing he doesn't. But when you have a player like there was I don't know if you guys saw the thing on YouTube or just on the Tottenham channel where they did the rankings of the FIFA on the So it was like pace was one of the things they ranked. And Jed Spence is the fastest player in the club.
Oh wow!
Over and above everybody else. And so it's funny. It was asked. He's like, "Are you faster than Sonny?" And he just sort of. It was funny. He kind of giggled. He's like, "Yeah, I'm the fastest."
There you go.
And so knowing that, right? Like you have a player on that side of the pitch that has that ability to be that fast to affect a game the way you can when you have that type of pace. Like I used to be fast. I'm not remotely comparing myself to anybody else, but I used to be fast, and that affected the way I was capable of changing a game. You have a right wing back that plays in a Conte system that requires a player to be able to take on other players. I don't know. I'm one about again. We've had this moment where we're like, what? Why isn't Conte recognizing it? What is going on? It's incredible. I think we are looking at a player with Jed Spence that could be another Kyle Walker in a system where you have a Kyle Walker and you have a obviously it would be a Perisic or a Perisic or Sessignon. So you're not in the same scenario, but you have an opportunity to have the best version of the thing you need to be successful. Why isn't that? Yeah.
Put it this way, Gabby, if you were Conte,
sorry,
who do you start a right wing back? If you were Conte right now, forget that it's Arsenal, whatever. Who would you pick as your first choice right wing back?
Well, I mean, if I really was Conte, I'm guessing I wouldn't pick Spence. But if I had the manager position,
Let's go with that.
I'm just kidding. I would at least try out Spence, and it's a shame as well. Doherty and Ben Davies in recent years are people who are really like, I was always like, how are they still playing for like Spurs, but like when at the end of last season, I have to say, man, like Matt Doherty was playing some great football. He was always in the right position and he had decent finishing and those like pings over the top that he used to play for to Kane. I was starting to really like him. Then he got injured, and now like I'm not even surprised that Perisic was the only one who, like when he did change Emerson Royale, I'm not surprised that it was Perisic that went there. Or it could have been like if Lucas wasn't injured, it probably would have been Lucas or something like that. Like anyone but Spence. But like I really want to see him more, at least as a sub. I was thinking as well, like 6-2 up, and you don't bring Spence on. Well, he wasn't even in the team, was he? He didn't put him on.
And that's the question I ask. Why wasn't he? It's odd for me, but yeah.
I'm actually just so sure that he didn't want to play Spence. And I said on my channel last week, if this continues, Spence will probably say like, "Yo, I want to go on loan. Like, I want to play," and I don't blame him. And I think the whole fan base.
I think that's he recognizes like what's going to make him a better player. Like that's what you want from a player who has a reason to get better, right? Progression. He needs to play a lot. And he's
Yeah.
fucking good. He's really good.
Well. Hopefully, we'll soon see it. But Gabby, what's the name of your channel? I'm going to subscribe to it right now.
Earth of
Yeah,
Spurs.
my eyes are terrible. I thought you were Bobby K. So,
Yeah,
what's the
I
name
was
of your
like,
channel?
Earth of
I didn't even know
Spurs.
you had a channel.
What is it? Earth of Spurs. Ah, yeah, I've seen you in the chat.
I used to live in China, and I used to be like a vlogger there, quite popular. But then like after COVID, I got stuck in the UK, and I wanted to come back to Asia, so I came to Korea now.
Well,
Yeah.
you've just gained a new subscriber. Everyone,
welcome to Toronto and welcome to Tottenham.
we are Tottenham TV, Tottenham on tour,
Tottenham on tour, and all the things.
and Gabby, phenomenal debut, and we're on this every single Friday at this time, and we'd love to get you back on, buddy.
Oh, love it. This is Saturday morning for me. One more thing I want to say to everyone, because I'm like the pessimistic kind of like realist fan, and I see a lot of people. I always see like Tottenham and Tour or like We Are Tottenham TV always saying this exact sentence, like, yeah, we're playing bad and we've got this. Imagine when we play well. But like, I just want to remind everyone that we were saying the exact same thing last year with Nuno, and like, oh yeah, we're playing bad, but I'm just like, we're playing bad.
Short, it's a different measurement for a different scenario, I think.
Yeah,
it is, but I'm thinking like we've got to start playing well eventually. If we played Man City last week, it could have been a very different story. They could have probably punished us, and then we played Sporting and then lost 2 in a row, and it could have gone all over again. Like, oh, what's going on?
It could have been. It is a great point, but thankfully, like you said, I don't think Antonio Conte would stand for what the players were doing under Nuno. Like I said, I've been saying to my friends, if we put in the exact same display at the Emirates as we did under Nuno, I would, if I was Conte, I would have said, you don't even come in the change room, walk home with the fans. They would have got off. They would have got. That's the difference. I could see the likeness, but thankfully Nuno and Conte are just
different
two
levels.
They're not even the same sport.
We're definitely not playing as bad as Nuno's Tottenham, but like I just think like we've had several matches in the Premier League, and how many of them have we kind of been lucky to get some points? So it's got that eventually where we go on a run of not just getting results like we already are, thankfully, but like that Chelsea game, I was literally sitting there for like days, just like, how did we get a point? I feel like a little like like a thief. Yeah.
Gabby, would you not say the reason we got the result there is because of our manager? We're in a scenario where we have a manager who recognizes a moment and is able to, despite how shit we are, recognizes how to get the best out of how shit we are. I think for me, it's massively important. But anyway,
there were a lot of things about that Chelsea thing. Like, firstly, Chelsea, like, they got rid of Werner and Lukaku, and they had Havertz up front, and he was like missing.
False nine, false player. Yeah. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and like, because they had so much possession and so many chances, and they were running rings around us. It's insane that we're still in the match. But like, also, I think,
sorry to interrupt, Gabby, but they also play against Spurs in a way that they don't play against anybody else. If you watch the way they played against us in that game, and then you watched every game post that for Chelsea, they meant so much. Why? I mean, why do they care so much about us? Because of course we're better than them, and we're amazing because we're Spurs. But they fucking, every time we play against Chelsea, they put the best foot forward that they possibly could. They're better than they're ever against anybody else. It's so annoying. Yeah. It's so annoying. I'm like, fuck you guys, you Chelsea cunts. Sorry.
No, right. It's Chelsea, sir. I said on one of my previous, like, it is actually a positive that West Ham and Chelsea, they always play, especially Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. They always play those two teams like it's a final, and we usually do pretty much lose or, get a draw.
Suffer. We suffer.
Yeah, we suffer. And so it was really good to get a draw in both of them. Like West Ham, I was annoyed, but in
Those
hindsight,
results are both better than we could ever have thought we would get against the two of the clubs that in those moments we struggle against. In those difficult moments, like we're really, really like, again, it's the difference, but because of the manager, the difference because of the situation. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. We would not have done that a season ago. We wouldn't have. We would have been sad, disappointed, annoyed. I mean, we still are because we're Spurs fans, but it would have been like, fuck you guys,
But there you go. So we got one more guest to do, Gabby. It's been a wicked debut. And the next guest coming on is the person I thought you were. Yeah. And I know that for a fact this time. So I don't know why I thought you were him, but you're not. But Gabby, it was a wicked debut.
Our next guest is brown, and Gabby's is white as fuck. What is wrong with you?
It's a wicked debut, brother. And we look forward to seeing you on the show more regular.
Gabby, cheers, brother. I appreciate you being here. You're fantastic.
And yourself.
You too, buddy. Pleasure. Have a good one.
Okay, so now I can say it's the final guest, and now I can say it's a brother of mine who I love dearly. Stop me with the cunt words.
Oh shit! I'm not saying it.
Bobby K.
I said bad things.
How are we doing? You're on mute, brother.
The fuck, man? What's your fucking language? What's the matter with you? I got no problem with you comparing me to Gabby, man.
Bobby,
young good-looking kid there, man. I got no problem with you comparing me to him.
I disappointed myself.
How are you,
I'm
Bobby?
Better than this.
How are you, Bobby, brother?
I'm well, man. What's shaking, boys? You all right? I'm liking the new studio. Look at that setup. Look at you two boys chilling beside each other.
It is looking good, brother. It's very, very relaxing in these chairs. It's one thing I will say.
The thing for Brian, and this is good for him, is that he doesn't have to do anything when we do a show. So he hasn't moved once.
Apart from going to the facilities.
Yeah, other than pissing. So he's been sitting there going like, oh, look at me just chilling out. And I'm like, oh, I got to check the comments. Oh, there's Bobby.
There you go.
Bobby's being a prick. I got to tell people Bobby's being a
prick. So what do you want to talk about, Bobby, brother?
You tell me, buddy. Where do you want to start, man? How shit Southgate is?
It's your time.
I just came to say hello. It's Friday night, and one thing I do want to talk about, actually, there is one thing.
There it is.
I'm loving the new setup. You got to paint that fucking wall a different color, man.
It's burgundy. It's burgundy.
It's too close.
We were waiting.
And I don't have control over the color of the wall.
I volunteer to paint it for you. I'll provide the paint as well.
I'm not in the position.
The one thing I will say, we were saying how long it will take.
We actually talked about this before.
And I will say it is as much as people know that I won't touch red, wear red, whatever.
It's not red.
It is a completely different.
It was very
shape.
difficult for us.
It was a very, very different shape. But like I said, Bobby, you want to talk England? You want to talk Spurs? You want to talk? What do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about England, really? You know what I mean? They've lost. I think I was talking to Jay about this earlier, and he was telling me 5 in a row now that they've lost, and they've not only lost, they've looked absolutely dreadful doing it. What's that, Brian?
450 plus minutes without a goal.
450, did you say?
Without a goal in
open play.
With the attacking players that England have at their disposal.
With Kane, the most.
You don't have to be too good at math to know that shit.
If you just put Kane in that conversation, you say this is the scenario, and you haven't scored. That's fucked.
Forget Kane. I'm sorry.
No, I know it's easy to say forget Kane. I point.
You know what I mean? That whole squad overall, Brian.
Bobby, hear me out. Here's what I'm trying to say. You have Bobby. Bobby, because I love you. No. But you have Kane. Kane is the highest goal scorer in the last, one of the highest goals in the last 5-10 years. You have this player, and you still can't score a goal. It's not a scenario where all I'm doing is just going, fuck me, this is how shit they are. England are so shit.
Yeah, but are they shit because of the way they're set up? Are they shit because of the service? Is it shit because of the way the players are playing? Obviously, something's wrong overall.
All those things are true, Bobby.
And he's lost his magic. This whole thing is,
There's no magic.
I think it's a fucking smokescreen and bullshit with this whole thing that all this magic praise that's been thrown at him and shadowed on him about how well the team is gelled, and look at all the guys that came from different clubs and how well they're playing together. And it's so nice. Oh, it's my time. Shut up.
No, hear me out for a second.
Let me finish. I'll let you finish.
All right, fuck
let
you.
Me finish.
I'm gonna go
finish. So these guys.
I'm back with you. I'm back with you, brother. I'm back with you.
So
what were you talking about, Bob?
No, he was just saying about with Southgate and everything like that and everything. But never mind. He's going to cut into me anyway. So he threw me off my train of thought here. How you doing, brother? What's going on over there?
Nothing. Okay? Everything good, brother. Everything good. Let's talk. Let's
talk. Saying, you know what I mean? He's been absolutely terrible with what he's doing. The systems aren't working. There's something obviously clearly off and everything. He's getting all this credit and all this praise for the way the team is gelled and everything. They've come from all the different clubs and look how well they're doing. Brian, you and I both know these players today are not the ones that are the same 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. They don't have the same loyalties to the badges that the players then did, you know? So it's a completely different story, you know, completely. So I think these players would naturally gel regardless of the manager. You know what
it is as well, Bobby? Like in club football and with football, this is a sport that is results based. When you're winning and everything is great, your job is safe, you're doing good, everything. But this, and like I said, and I keep saying, Gareth Southgate must be having nightmares thinking that the next game where the pressure is all on you is a game against Germany at Wembley.
Yeah.
It's got to be the thing of nightmares, because if we don't get off to a good start or we concede, that place is going to be very, very, very toxic.
Yeah, but he's only in that position because he's put himself in that position from the recent
100%.
results. You know, there's no sympathy there for him in that state. Not for me. I'm sorry.
Correct. But what we were saying before,
your team didn't perform because of what you've done wrong, and you haven't corrected it. You're starting the wrong players. You've got players that are in form on the bench. I don't understand the whole experiment with Saka at left wing back and stuff. Yep. You've got so many players. You look at that bench and he's down a goal and he brings on Grealish and Luke Shaw. And that's it.
It's, well, do you know what? Let's move away from a bit of doom and gloom and let's try and have some ray of sunshine and talk about.
Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah, it's Friday night, man. Let's get this shit pumped up.
Let's talk about our beloved Tottenham Hotspur.
Hello, everybody in the chat, by the way. Good evening. Happy Friday, wherever you are. Hopefully having a drink, a smoke, or whatever it does you do to relax yourself and having a good time. Chilling back, sitting back, and relaxing like my man, Big Brian D over there.
Well, thank you, brother. So, yeah, Sonny and free kicks. So, Arsenal, who takes it? If we get a free kick in that area, do you think Conte's had words and Kane's had words with Son and they said Son takes it? Or do you think we see the same old and Kane rolls up?
Are you asking me, do I think what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Or what I'd like to see happen?
Well, go with both. So go with what you think you see.
What's going to happen is we're going to see Kane come up and hit the wall. What I'd like to see happen is Sonny come up and show them how it's done, bang them in, and that stadium go absolutely just do it with me, Brian.
Well, it's the library. It's always quiet. It's always quiet at the Emirates.
I want him to go over there and just do that again.
Mate, that would be absolutely outstanding. And with you, do you go 3-4-3 or do you go 3-5-2?
It depends if Skip is healthy and available fully. If we've got the extra man on the bench, then, you know, are you willing to start 3-5-2? Do you think with Basuma, if he's up to speed over the training sessions and over the last few days or over the next little while to get ready for that game, if Conte sees what he wants to see, then yeah, that obviously made a big difference for our team. So, like you say, I know you guys have talked about this already, the way Bentancur opened up and was able to just run the midfield. I don't want to talk
too much about Bentoncourt because I know Brian Ireland's going to get a little too excited over there. So I know he was already spewing a lot of love over out there on him. So.
Oh, Bobby, I love you, man. You're like, you say all the things that make me happy about the world. It's true. I mean, I can't even add to it. I was like, can I add to that? No, like he said everything properly. All right. Let me go.
When I give you a chance to add, you don't want to. Lovely.
No, it's not that I want to. I just think you said everything appropriately. I got nothing else to say.
Oh, speaking of wives, sorry, right quickly. I hope Alana is doing well. And secondly, happy belated birthday to Nina. All the best to her.
Yeah, I mean, she's she's both of the women in our lives are make us better people. So.
Yeah, Ilana is recovering. I'm trying to make her take things easier, but women do what women want. So all I can do is just say yes, dear. But no, she's doing much brighter, Bobby. And just finally, bro, because we've got one more guest. I think Arian. I'm not even going to pretend. I think Arian has joined us.
Gabby's back.
Oh, is it Gabby still in the background? Okay, so okay. I thought my eyes. That's how bad my eyes are right now. So, Bobby, just in closing,
Bobby, just tell him to shut up.
Just in closing, out of the awards we were doing, which award do you want to talk about out of the list that we did?
Oh my God. You want me to remember the list you did? You got to give me a recap here, man. You're going back 3 hours ago.
Best goal, performance, disappointment.
That's goal for me, like I said already in the comments. That was the Harry Kane one for me, just because it was the one that just shut Chelsea up right at the end of the game and made us jump out of our seats. We were at the pub together watching that game. Yep. So that to me was my goal so far of the season. That was my favorite because, like I said, we were together and everything, and we were all down at that point. We're like, fuck, man, Stamford Bridge cursed again. This is fucking bullshit. This fucking sucks. We were standing up already, and I remember I had stood up, and I had turned away, and I was about to just go to the washroom and go tell her, just get my bill. Fucking, I'm pissed off. We're going to leave, Brian.
Fuck and these guys.
I just took that step and turned, and then boom. There's Brian on top of me, man. I was like, that's why I was like, for me, that one just that's
football right there. That's what you want.
Well, that's it. That excitement, the excitement, that the change in feeling that gave me from going from feeling so shitty to feeling so great, even though it was just a draw, but to get that result at Stamford Bridge when we were down, that fucking thing. Yeah, man.
That's being a Spurs fan.
Yeah, baby, I know. Yeah, you
know. I'm just putting it out there again.
Probably on that note, very, very quickly plug your channel and then stay in the back end because I'll speak to you and we're going to wrap up the show. So give your channel a big plug.
Yeah, buddy, it's the 3 Spurs Boys, the number 3, the Spurs Boys, and on Twitter, it's at the 3 Spurs Boys. We got Off the Pitch coming up this Wednesday with David Harris and Lazy 8, Nick himself. So we're doing a little get to know them, and the boys are finally back. So they've had a little bit of a break with school and everything getting started. They've been busy. So, and then me and Kuva will be back for our episode of Kuva and the Kang, and I know you will be joining us this Sunday.
Correct.
And perhaps maybe somebody else will see who else joins us there.
I'm not sure because things going on, but I hope
so there you go. So
so 3 Spurs Boys, if you can give us a sub and a like and all that stuff, push all the buttons, they're free. Appreciate it, man. And have a great night, everybody. It's Friday night. Enjoy yourself. Stay safe.
Stay there. We're going to wrap up the show very quickly, so then I'll speak to you in the back end. But guys, just want to say thank you so much for watching. We are back once again. We will be back next week with a filth bonanza. If the game hasn't been postponed,
the new setup too, right? Like, tell us about how dope we look.
There you go. And then all I will say is, don't forget Tottenham on Tour. The hyperlink is in the description. And all I will say, as the boys always say, like, comment, subscribe, and as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.